Return to 60. Almighty sister-in-law author, who too copywriting. So King He, a resident and lazy man, was reborn once again and became a rural girl in the 1960s. In order to survive, So King He can only continue to complete tasks and become a qualified little army sister-in-law. Ding! The cooking task is completed, and you get 1 point of cooking. Reward: a pound of pork belly. Ding! After completing the sewing task, get 1 point of sewing skill, and reward 1 foot of cotton cloth. Ding! So King He's motto in life is nothing but unexpected, nothing impossible. Reading tips: the hostess is home and lazy, and the ugly point is that it is delicious and lazy. The hostess mother is the best mother-in-law. The heroine brother helps her sister crazy. The sister-in-law of the hostess secretly rubs against her mother-in-law to save her brain-disabled husband. The family gathers abnormally. Sue's slogan: we are a family who loves each other. Content label: farming text rebirth inspirational life system search keywords: protagonist, So King He supporting role, Gu Chong on others, sister-in-law development VIP strongly pushes the medal, a brief comment on the work, So King He, a lazy and homely 21st century internet writer, was accidentally brought to the 1960s by a system. So King He, who was surrounded by the best products, discovered that she was the darling that was protected by the best products. The eyes of the best mom, the jewel in the palm of the best brothers. In order to survive this famine year of lack of food and clothing, and to keep his best mom and brother from being cannon fodder, So King He had to change his lazy habits and began to complete one task after another as explained by the system. Ding! Complete the cooking task, reward 1 skill point and a pound of pork belly. This article has a unique style, and uses a humorous style to describe the life of the best family in the 1960s. Readers can't help but laugh. The author's writing is concise and not lengthy, the story comes slowly, and the picture is full. It is a joyous essay worth reading. It is worth reading. My young seedlings, my heart and soul. You unscrupulous bunnies, with such a cruel heart, I only went back to my natal family. You will grind your sisters into this way. Did you get eaten by the eldest wife? With the witty-eyed wolf who has forgotten her mother-in-law, I will kill you bastards. Mom, no, the eldest sister's 2 dried sweet potatoes she ate early in the morning. She also ate a bowl of millet porridge. Fart, can you be hungry and faint after eating? My old lady doesn't count with you now, so I'll take Ching Miaoer to the county hospital quickly. There was a cry, accompanied by the jumping and shouting, So King He slowly regained consciousness. Of course, she still couldn't open her eyes, it seemed that there was a power that made her unable to move. All I know is that I seem to be in a car or on a wooden board, bumping constantly. She said silently in her head, System, are you there? The Almighty Army Sister System 01 is temporarily serving you. A mechanical sound rang in his head. So King He said, where am I? Don't you say that you can survive by binding you? Where is this? Am I not at home? This is May 11, 1960 in China. The host is now in a small village in the northern region. Because the map is not complete, it is impossible to point out the specific location. The host can ask for it by himself. In 1960. Yes, the host. So King He was excited, you said you can live by binding, so you let me live like this? Don't bully me because of my lack of culture. In 1960 or the 3-year Great Leap Forward, I will eat soil. Am I alive and starving to death? This system is only temporarily bound, and the host can cancel it at any time. I can go back after the cancellation. If the price of getting the so-called system is to stay in the 1960s, she would rather go back to the 21st century to be an ordinary otaku. At any rate, I can still eat a bite of fast food. The host is already brain dead in the future, and you can see itself as a grey-like object after going back. Because there is no carrier to save the host's brain waves, the host will not exist for more than 3 seconds. Isn't this clearly bound to live, or not bound to die? So King He looked unlovable. As a senior housemaid, So King He does not go out easily. Everything he eats is called takeaway. When buying things, he finds Magnum Dobeo for delivery. 365 days a year can be spent at home for 360 days, and the remaining few days are to go out in the sun daily to replenish calcium. In this era of impetuous people, So King He feels that staying at home is the safest. This is the reason she has always given herself to stay at home. However, it was her who said misfortune came from the sky. During the holiday season, just in time for the property plumber's holiday, the light in the room at home was out of order. So King He can bear everything, but can't bear the darkness and the days without computers. So I searched at home and found a spare light bulb, and changed the light by myself, but the light bulb suddenly exploded. She was so scared that she fell back from the chair. The result can be imagined. Just when So King He thought she was about to finish, a strange voice rang in her ears, "Find a qualified host, restart the system, hello temporary host, Almighty Military Sister System 01 is for you, and the host carrier is about to be checked. The energy is exhausted and disappear, please choose whether to bind this system to get a new carrier. Who wants to die if she can live, especially for someone like So King He who is timid and afraid of death." She didn't even think about it, she said directly, "Agree." There was a burst of light, and So King He squinted his eyes subconsciously, feeling as if he was peeling from something, and then began to float. Said that I knew that floating, the 60s have come. In order to survive, this wave can only endure. After So King He exhaled and inhaled, he continued, "Where is the original owner of this body, is it dead? I have a bottom line. The fixed DNA matching vector in this system is the host's current vector, and the original owner of the vector is difficult to understand this system. In-depth communication is not possible, so after consultation with the original owner, she was sent to the interstellar canteen to meet her daily meat-eating requirements. The carrier now belongs to the system. The host is only temporarily borrowing it. If the host refuses to formally bind the system, the host will leave the carrier and die after 3 seconds. She is still a spare part." So King He asked weakly, "Is there still a shortage of people in your cafeteria? This problem is regarded as the host intentionally leaving the system. If the host persists after 10 seconds, it will leave the carrier and die after 3 seconds." So King He immediately said, "Bind and bind immediately." Ding, the Almighty Army Sister System No. 01 is officially bound, the binding completion degree is 30%. 60%, complete. Please receive the information from the host. As soon as the voice stopped, So King He felt that she was in a crashed state, a bunch of messy things burrowed into her brain, and the whole head felt filled. The huge data reception was completely cured, and So King He felt that he had only half his life left. But seeing that the data was cured, she didn't regret binding to this system. This all-around military sister-in-law system No. 01 was designed by the Galaxy A Corps, because in the interstellar age, wars between the major planets continue, soldiers cannot take care of their families all the year round, and most of the soldiers become older singles. Even military soldiers who are married cannot devote themselves to the task because they care about their family. So the Legion Research Department spent a lot of manpower and material resources to develop this all-round military system. The purpose is to cultivate all-round military sisters-in-law who can take care of the family, protect the family, go to the hall and the kitchen, and beat the bad guys for the soldiers who are going abroad. At present, her system is the first experimental system. Seeing this, So King He couldn't help but said, "If there is this system, what else would my husband do? You are a single system, right?" Such an answer has already been set in the system, and the answer is quickly given: only military members have the right to obtain this system. Non-military personnel cannot obtain this system. Yet, nothing wrong. So King He accepts this answer. If you want a horse to run, you have to graze the horse. She continued to look at other functions. I found that this system is really powerful. What kind of storage space, system store, treasure box, everything. And there is even a skill enhancement function. Each time you complete the corresponding task, you will get skill points. And the skill point is equivalent to Daigo's empowerment, injecting knowledge directly into her brain. Seeing this, So King He was beautiful in his heart. As a lazy person, he can get knowledge without studying. This is simply a pie in the sky. Open the skill column. So King He said silently. Several lines of subtitles appeared in her head. Introductory skills: clothes, 0 food, 0 live, 0 row, 0 So King He, isn't it omnipotent? Why do you just have so little skill points? Host, you have just bound this system and have not completed any tasks. You are currently at the entry level. When the host completes the task and reaches a certain level, the corresponding skills will be unlocked. Please the host actively complete the task. So King He felt like he was playing through the game. Is there a gift pack for beginners? It's shameful to get something for nothing. As an excellent military sister-in-law, you can't have this kind of lazy thinking. So King He was defeated by this so-called artificial intelligence system. Fine, I do the task, but what am I doing? Task reminder, primary main task, marry a soldier and become a veritable military wife. So King He stunned, you can only marry a soldier. Only the military sister-in-law is eligible to have the military sister-in-law system. Well, marry a soldier. So King He quickly agreed. Anyway, when to marry, she decides for herself. She didn't want to really marry someone, and then go to serve a big family. Obviously, the system does not allow loopholes. The host is now 16 years old. According to the legal marriage age of this era, the host must become a military wife in the year of the legal marriage age. Otherwise, the task is deemed to have failed, and the system will look for the next host. The host leaves the system for no more than 3 seconds. So King He's numb face. Besides this task, are there any other tasks? You can't let me just marry for 2 years, big brother, this is a 3-year famine. I am worried that I will starve to death before I marry. Secondary task 1, cooking. As an all-round military wife, how can you not have a good cooking skill? The host, please cook a meal by yourself. The completion of the task will reward you with 1 point of cooking skill and a random ingredient. This task repeatable. Side task 2, make clothes. As an all-rounder, how can you not know how to make clothes? Please make a piece of clothes. The completion of the task will reward you with 1 point for sewing skills, and you will be rewarded with a copy of clothing materials immediately. Cooking, making clothes. So King He continued to numb his face. In her life as an otaku for 20 years, the only thing she could do was to cook instant noodles. The question was whether there were instant noodles here, obviously not. As for making clothes, she said that she can never sew buttons. Cough cough cough. So King He finally couldn't help coughing. This time it was the sound from this body, so it agitated the people next to me, and only listened to the sharp voice of a woman next to me. Useless things, hold them steady, haven't you seen your sister uncomfortable? So King He shouted, Ching Miaoer, bear with me, we will go to the county hospital soon. So King He opened his eyes in a daze, only to see the scenery in front of him swaying. This woman who claimed to be her mother should be the mother of this body. She closed her eyes weakly. System, will I show my stuff? I don't know what the original owner is like. The Almighty Army Sister System 01 serves you, transmitting the original brainwave memory. Soon, So King He stuffed something into his head. Some are familiar and some are unfamiliar. It seems to be her memory, but she has no mood swings at all. The former director of the specific body she now occupies is also So King He. Like her, she is a sluggish and lazy girl. As for why this girl can develop a lazy personality in this special age, I have to thank this girl and her mother. After her mother, Gao Xiaolin, married to Sujia village at the age of 18, she had 3 children in 4 years, each of which was a son. With 3 sons, Gao Xiaolin was very confident in Sujiakan, and she was also a strong man, and she had a good time during the war. In 1944, Little Japan had not surrendered, and the 2 sides fought near Sujia village. Gao Xiaolin's man Su Dagan led the 8th Route Army, but he died unexpectedly. At that time Gao Xiaolin was only 33 years old, and the country was still unstable. Suddenly there was no man. Gao Xiaolin cried to death, she cried and fainted. When she woke up, she found that she was pregnant again. Gao Xiaolin felt that the child in this belly would have no father before he was born. It was so pitiful. So cheered up and gave birth to the baby. The birth finally bloomed and gave birth to a damsel. Gao Xiaolin is patriarchal, but her patriarchy is only aimed at grandchildren, to her own daughter, and she is the only daughter who is a posthumous daughter, that hurts her heart. Holding it in his hand, I'm afraid of falling away, and holding it in my mouth, I'm afraid of turning away. In addition to the work of 3 older brothers at home since she was young, Gao Xiaolin never let her daughter move a finger outside the house. If there is anything delicious at home, it's definitely a good thing to eat first. The 3 sons can only watch. According to Gao Xiaolin, when your dad was there, you had enough to eat. Do you have the face to fight with your dadless sisters? The 3 elder brothers were so brainwashed by Gao Xiaolin. Every time there was something delicious, they couldn't bear to eat it outside, so they brought them back and contributed to their sisters. After so many years of raising, So Qinghe, the So family's little sister, has developed a lazy temperament. Even in this famine era, others are hungry on the front and back, and she can still hold 2 dried sweet potatoes as snacks in her pocket. The people in the village are envious and jealous of her, of course, they are more uncomfortable. However, as a woman with 4 children alone, Gao Xiaolin is definitely not the master in the village. Whoever said that her daughter is not good, she can hold a club and go desperately. Someone bullied So Qinghe, and her 3 brothers rushed forward and shook their fists. Because of this kind of growth experience, the original owner did not have any concept of family affection. He only felt that the 3 elder brothers were responsible for taking care of her and helping her with her work. He only felt that his mother Gao Xiaolin should be. So after contacting the system, she did not hesitate to abandon her relatives in order to eat meat every day. Regarding this, So Qinghe just wanted to say one thing, she also wanted to go to the canteen. Can lie down and eat every day, who wants to do missions in this famine age, everything is to live. So Qinghe was woken up by Gao Xiaolin when he arrived in the hospital. This time her consciousness was completely restored, not as dizzy and weak as before. On the contrary, I still feel a little bit energetic. After all, her current body is a bit malnourished compared with the previous body, but she is not really hungry. The old sister-in-law of the Sui family really didn't lie, the original owner really ate dried sweet potatoes in a bowl of millet porridge. The reason for the fainting was because the consciousness was sent by the system to the space cafeteria to eat meat, didn't he fainted? Now that she completely matched the body, she also gained control of the body. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw Gao Xiaolin pulling a middle-aged man in a white lab coat, shouting loudly, "My daughter is all right, she is hungry and fainted, malnourished, she should get an injection, what she can do regardless." The doctor was caught out of breath, and the nurses and doctors next to him came to help. Gao Xiaolin yelled directly at her 2 sons, "Boss and second, what are you doing standing stupidly, come over and help." 2 tall and thin men rushed over to help. So Qinghe saw that things were going to make a big mess, so he couldn't worry about being in a daze, so he hurriedly shouted, "Stop making trouble, what's the matter?" Hearing her daughter's voice, Gao Xiaolin subconsciously let go of the doctor's clothes, turned around and ran to the bedside, shouting with red eyes, "King Miao Er, you can wake up, oh hey, but this is for your mother. I'm so anxious. My baby has a pimple, how can you live if I don't have it? While crying, he put So King-hee's head in his arms. Our widows and orphans have a hard life, and we won't be treated at the hospital. Isn't this going to be communism? So King-hee was almost suffocated. He quickly got out of her arms and yelled awkwardly, "Mom, stop yelling, my ears hurt." "All right, I won't shout." Gao Xiaolin immediately wiped her tears. "Nurse and doctor. Sister, you are really fine, are you hungry? Brother will get you some food." The Sui family's eldest and second child also came over. The three sons of the Sui family, the eldest of the Sui family, Sui Aguo, the second child, Sui Ihua, and the third child, Sui Adang. Of course, this name was changed after the founding of the People's Republic of China. It is Sui Aguo, who is talking to So King-hee now. His sallow national character face is full of anxiety and guilt. He obviously feels that it is his responsibility for the eldest sister to faint this time. The second brother Sui Ihua rolled his eyes. "When you get something, the elder sister is already starving." He took out 2 pieces of dried sweet potatoes from his pocket. "Come on, elder sister, to eat, brother will go to the field today, and keep it for you." Now, Sui Aguo is even more guilty. He is not a good eldest brother. This is the first time So King-hee has been treated like this, and feels a little confused. She didn't respond, but Gao Xiaolin reacted very quickly, and directly took the dried sweet potatoes, broke them into pieces and stuffed them into So King-hee's mouth. "If you have a conscience, you still know to leave a bite for your poor girl." So King-hee subconsciously opened his mouth to take it, chewed it a few times, and it didn't taste at all. "That's it, it's a rare grain in memory. Why did she run here? Her life is suffering." "System, I want to ask you to eat dried sweet potatoes." Seeing that So King-hee was able to eat, Gao Xiaolin believed that her daughter was okay, and she was not ready to continue making trouble in the hospital. After all, there is still a lot of work at home, and a half-day delay is half a day's work points. Of course, the advantage is that you can't avoid it. My daughters are fainted due to malnutrition. Even if they don't provide sugar, 3 or 2 soybeans are always indispensable. So I arranged for the eldest son and the second son to lift the bamboo bed to lift the people, and went to the nurse to make trouble. Our farmers are suffering, saying that it is for us to live a good life, but my daughter is sick in the hospital, and even stutters. I can't eat it. You are trying to deprive our poor peasants. My child's father is still a martyr, and we are family members of the martyrs. All staff in the hospital." Soon, Gao Xiaolin came back with 3 or 2 soybeans, with a look of joy. "Here, So King-hee was lying on the bamboo bed with a numb face. Can't I walk back by myself?" Gao Xiaolin held the soybeans in her arms, wiped her tears and nose, and said, "What are you doing? You are all fainted, how tired to go back. Let your brother carry them, or else what do they do for dinner?" So King-hee felt that Gao Xiaolin's words were like her son was a long-term worker in the landlord's family. The key is that these 2 long-term workers are quite self-conscious. Sui Aguo said, "That is, don't worry, sister, brother is strong, you can sleep peacefully, and you will be there when you wake up." Sui Ihua said, "Second brother is not too strong, elder sister, take a good rest." Gao Xiaolin was very satisfied with the performance of her 2 sons and waved her big hand, go home." So King-hee was carried out of the hospital, enjoying the same treatment as an 8-carriage sedan chair. Why is this so wrong? Not to mention, this way of lifting people is still very comfortable. The bamboo bed that sleeps in the summer is reversed, with 2 sticks on the 4 corners, 1 quilt and 1 quilt on the inside. Even if it was comfortable, So King-hee felt very uncomfortable, pulling on the quilt and covering his face. Gao Xiaolin was still beside her with a smile and coaxed her, "King Miao take a good rest, and I'll be here later." She also solemnly told her 2 sons, "Be steady, and don't push your sister." So King He closed his eyes and chatted with the system. System, can I collapse the system? The host is a free body, and you can choose a variety of personal settings. However, according to the matching results of this system, the behavior of the host and the original host are highly consistent. It is recommended not to change too much to avoid unpredictable consequences. So King He. Doesn't it mean she is lazy? She is lazy, who is she getting in the way? Without these lazy people, how should the future Big Dobeo develop? She didn't want to chat with the system at all. I don't know who created this artificial intelligence. It's not cute at all. Chatting with the system one by one, So King He finally arrived at her current home, Sujia village under the Yellow River production team. As soon as they arrived at the door of the house, the family ran out. Mom, you are back, what's wrong with the eldest sister? This is really pitiful. If you want me to say, the eldest sister is too bad at taking care of people, so she starved like this. Ns. So King He recognized it when she heard the voice. This is her current second sister-in-law, Ding Gihua, who would please Gao Xiaolan the most. Of course, Gao Xiaolan didn't eat her set and pushed her away. Let me stop arguing with Qing Miao. The doctor said, she's malnourished, she needs to take a good rest. You hurry up and give Qing Miao's an egg. And make some brown sugar water to make up for the young crops. After explaining Ding Gihua, Gao Xiaolan immediately turned around and looked at So King He with affection. Come on, Mom will help you out to rest. So King He looked at her dozing eyes, the goosebumps were about to come out. Trembling, she reached out and put her hand on Gao Xiaolan's, letting her pull herself a hand, and then came out of the bamboo bed. Inside the room, sister-in-law Lin Chuhong had already made up the bed, watching Gao Xiaolan support So King He into the room, and immediately stood aside honestly. Gao Xiaolan kept her face straight when she saw her. When she went back to her mother's house this time, she asked Lin Chuhong to take good care of her precious girl, but when she came back, she watched her girl sleep in the bed and did not move. King Miao still doesn't know what will happen. What a hackneyed thing! Lin Chuhong was glared at by her mother-in-law, shivering with fright, and immediately stood straight. So King He couldn't stand her like this, so she said to Gao Xiaolan, Mom, what about it? Let your sister-in-law go out and work. I will rest in the house. I don't need anyone to take care of it anymore. Gao Xiaolan hurriedly said, is it annoying you? I just said, I don't have any vision at all. Seeing you so tired and still sticking here, are you trying to give guying me this old man? Lin Chuhong held back the tears, wiped the tears and ran out. So King He. She really didn't mean that. She just wanted to say, if it wasn't her mother, well, luckily it was her mother, if it were her mother-in-law, she would definitely fight. As soon as Lin Chuhong went out, her daughter-in-law Ding Gihua came in with bowls and chopsticks. Brown sugar water eggs, this is what people don't get during confinement. Ding Gihua held back her saliva and directly sent it to the sister-in-law. Sister, come and taste it, it's sweet. So King He was really hungry right now. This is a natural reaction of the body, and it cannot be done. So he reached out and took it. Just about to take a sip, I saw Ding Gihua looking at her with straight eyes. She suddenly felt that the bowls and chopsticks were a little unbearable. Gao Xiaolan snorted, what are you doing with the pestle? I don't need to do the work at home. Go cooking quickly. Are the few mouths at home not eating? Ding Gihua immediately ran away with oil on the solace of her feet. I'm afraid that her mother-in-law Gao Xiaolan will stop eating if she doesn't want to make it. That's really hungry. They are all things that only eat in their eyes. Gao Xiaolan snorted, then looked at her daughter, King Miao eat quickly. There are still 10 sparrow eggs in my mother's place. Your third brother will dig out bird eggs. There is no shortage of this in our family. Eat more and take care of it. Listening to Gao Xiaolan's arrogance, So King He felt that if she hadn't had the memory of the original owner and knew what other people in the family ate, she would have thought that she was living in the 21st century rural area. Seeing the contents in the bowl, she was still somewhat uncomfortable. After all, she is not the real Sua family girl. When her parents and brothers ate the chaff and thinner, they gave her eggs. She felt that what she was eating was only a little bit of morals left. "Why don't you eat it? Eat it quickly." "So King," he said, "Mom, should we eat together?" When she said lightly, Gao Ziolin's eyes flushed, and she cried with her head in her arms, "My dear, when I grow up, I still hurt my mother." Then he urged, "So King he, Mom doesn't eat it, you eat it, and you eat it, it's what Mom eats." So King he didn't want to listen to the Lafayette crying, so he ate quickly. Sure enough, people can't collapse casually, or they will cause a big reaction. It's better to listen to the system, star in the true colors, and be a good, lazy kid. Seeing that So King he had eaten cleanly and even drank the sugar water, Gao Ziolin was contented to go out of the room with the tableware and chopsticks. She also told So King he, "Good sleep in the afternoon, and I'll cook soybeans for you at night. The hospital will give it to you. Let's make up for the supplements you distributed." "Mom, I can't sleep. I'll get up and sit with you for a while." So King he is a nice housemaid, but that's also the case with a mobile phone and a computer. Sleeping in this dark earthen house, she worried that she would have nightmares. When Gao Ziolin heard this, she suddenly realized, "Look at me, I'm confused, I'm going to have lunch soon. The eggs and brown sugar water are definitely not enough, you can make do with some food. Later, Mom will cook you 2 sparrow eggs for you. Eat hungry." So King he thinks that her mother has a big brain. When the mother and daughter arrived in the hall, the family sat on the table in a formal manner. There was always an empty bowl in front of everyone. The bowl was clean and obviously not eaten. This is the rule of the Sua family, and Gao Ziolin must distribute the food. According to Gao Ziolin, there is not enough food these years, and if the elderly in the family can't help it, the next thing is not to be overwhelmed by a bite. This is very righteous, but Gao Ziolin said to her daughter in private, "If Mom doesn't care, you won't be able to eat a bite." Watching Gao Ziolin distribute food to the family, So King he also saw the rest of the family. The third brother, Sua Ai Dang, is participating in the steel-making task in the team, so he won't come back to eat at noon. And he himself is not yet married, so now sitting at the table are the eldest brother and the second elder brother's family. The eldest brother Sua Aguo is 28 years old this year. He got married the earliest and gave birth to 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 son. The eldest daughter is 10 years old, and the youngest son is only 2 years old now. For this reason, Gao Ziolin was very upset. She felt that Lin Shihong would not have children. In good years, she gave birth to girls. Only when the years were bad, did she give birth to her son, causing her grandson to suffer. The second brother Sua Ihua is only 1 year younger than the eldest brother, 27 years old, and gave birth to 2 children, 1 son and 1 daughter. The son is now 8 years old and the daughter is only 3 years old. So King he looked at the bitter and thin faces of the family, and then looked at the children's severe malnutrition, and he became more and more unhappy about the future life. I don't know if her system can be useful. At least solve the problem of food and clothing. She knew that someone in the village starved to death. No, I still have to think about it. Or try to cook a meal secretly at night to see if there is any magical effect. So King he is still thinking, Gao Ziolin has already allocated the food. So King he glanced at him. There was a bowl of dried wild vegetables and sorghum in his bowl, and the other people's bowls were either half bowl, half dry, half thin, or sparse vegetable leaves. Even Gao Ziolin, the head of the family, only had half a bowl of slurs. Her nieces only have a little broth in their bowls. "Mom, I'm sleepy, I'm not hungry." Suddenly, share these with others. I'll go back to my room and sleep. So King he felt that if she had eaten this meal without stress, it would really be out of discipline. Watching her get up and walk, Gao Xiaolin thought she didn't like to eat these, so she said, "Okay, when you wake up, Mom will cook soya beans for you." "Milk, I also want to eat soybeans." "Su menu," Su Aguo's little girl said. The little girl was only 5 years old. Although she was afraid of grandma in her heart, she still couldn't help being greedy. "Eat and eat, you know what to eat." "I don't even have a bite to eat." "I don't even have a bite to eat." "Your aunt is hungry for things with no conscience. Damn her." Gao Xiaolin cursed directly. So Qinghe heard Gao Xiaolin's curses as soon as she entered the room, and her face suddenly stiffened. She has an impulse again, if it weren't for her mother. It's a pity that this is her mother. Although she disagrees with Gao Xiaolin's behavior, So Qinghe is still a little touched by this mother in her heart. She is not a good mother-in-law, not a good grandma, but for the original owner, she is so good that she has nothing to say. However, the original owner abandoned her, and now he owns this body. She will be the one who will receive Gao Xiaolin's unrestricted maternal love in the future. She is still very rare for people like So Qinghe who are disgusted and abandoned by both families after their parents divorced. Yes, she lacks love. Part of the reason why she was so house in the previous life was because she didn't want to go out to see other people's family happiness, and she was alone. She would rather live in her own world. "I earn some manuscript fees by writing some articles by myself every day, so I can maintain a normal life like a day for 10 years. She also wants to enjoy the missing family warmth. And in this difficult 60s, this family is still very important to her. Of course, this kind of deformed warmth is not enough. So Qinghe felt it necessary to talk to Gao Xiaolin. But now she has to talk to the system, and now the most important issue is food and clothing. Can't eat sparrow eggs every day. So Qinghe immediately lay on the bed to chat with the host. "System, if I do work, do I get rewards?" The host can get corresponding immediate rewards for completing the side tasks. The system quickly answered. So Qinghe looked at his side mission. "Both cooking and making clothes are fine." She asked again, "There are no tasks for living and traveling?" After the host completes the first 2 side missions, new side missions will be released one after another. "That living, won't let me build a house. This is an impossible task for me at all." After the host has completed the 2 side missions, new side missions will be issued one after another. The system repeats the words just now. So Qinghe gave up asking these questions. Her system is not cute at all. "Then if I complete the task of cooking, will I get the food of your interstellar age? It's the kind of magic potion that will never be hungry for a sip." Host, it is shameful to do it once and for all. So Qinghe discovered that the creator of this system must be a very shrewd person, so she couldn't find any loopholes. Since he couldn't find any loopholes, So Qinghe was going to do a task and try it out to see what use the system was. It's impossible to make clothes. With her current craft, she doesn't even know the correct way to hold scissors. It's better to cook, the simplest one that only needs to be cooked and eaten. So Qinghe just sat up and was about to go out to find her mother Gao Xiaolin. "I heard Gao Xiaolin yelling at the door of her house, 'Why don't you go to work? I'm all waiting to eat rice.' Mom, Shihong is uncomfortable." Big brother Sua Aguadao. "What, uncomfortable?" Gao Xiaolin smiled, "I gave birth to you in the morning and went to work in the field in the afternoon. Why didn't I say uncomfortable? I gave birth to 3 sons and didn't say uncomfortable. Don't. I thought I didn't know, was it just watching Qing Miao or not going out to work, so I just chanted like this. Pity my daughter had no father since she was born, and said that the eldest brother is the father, I think it's a fart. Married a daughter-in-law and forgot. Mother's stuff." Sua Aguo quickly said, "Mom, don't be angry, Shihong, and I will go right away." "Shihong, go to work." Lin Shihong immediately followed with a sickle. Ding Gihua smiled and said, "Mom, if I want to tell you, sister-in-law is a lot of things, but I and Ihwa are obedient. Fuck off, it's not something to worry about. What are you doing at home? Gao Xiaolin didn't listen, and hurried away. She doesn't eat this set, she just likes to listen to her daughters. Seeing that his mother was angry, Su Ihua immediately grabbed Ding Gihua and left. After the noise was over, I heard Gao Xiaolin explain to several children to work, go to wash your aunt's clothes, and second to collect firewood. Sanya sweeps the floor. Don't be idle, the girl's film is idle. What are you doing? After a while, Gao Xiaolin came with a small bowl of boiled soybeans. King Miao come, eat something. I haven't eaten just at noon. It's just that they are black-hearted. You will clean your food as soon as you leave. You're welcome. So King He looked at the boiled soybeans inside and swallowed his mouth water. She is indeed a little hungry. There is nothing oily in this body, and the egg and brown sugar water is not up to the stomach at all. She brought it over and took a sip, which was still sweet. Gao Xiaolin said, I know that you like sweets, so I put the sugar. I asked your uncle to get it. He works in a supply and marketing agency, and this thing is easy to handle. Just as So King He was about to talk to her about family affairs, Gao Xiaolin took out 5 sparrow eggs from her pocket again. Come on, eat and drink. Just cooked. This day is not like a famine. So King He ate a sparrow egg and said, Mom, it's not my sister-in-law's business that I am sick this time. I fainted myself. I did eat that thing in the morning. Don't be angry with her. Hearing So King He's words, Gao Xiaolin looked surprised. Qing Miaoer, did they scare you? Mom, how could it be possible? Who frightened me? Then why are you helping them to speak? It's really nonsense. It's impossible for the sister-in-law to be nice to the sister-in-law. Gao Xiaolin cut her gold. Have you forgotten the virtue of your aunt? Regarding this point, So King He is also aware that her grandmother's old Gao family did not even have a son after giving birth to her eldest uncle. Therefore, after the aunt walked in, she almost suppressed the quartet. Of course, the good days are not long. Her eldest aunt gave birth to 3 daughters in a row before giving birth to a son, and the son is not in good health. On the other hand, Gao Xiaolin, although married to someone else's house, gave birth to 3 sons, full of confidence. Even speaking at her natal house is very important. Although she was not the son of Lao Gao's family, she gave him the face of Lao Gao's family anyway. Gao Xiaolin felt that her daughter was sick and confused. Qing Miaoer, don't be fooled by them. All the good mother-in-laws in this world are going to be bullied by their daughter-in-law. If I don't die, they will be stunned when I look back. Your brothers are separated. How can mom feed you when that happens? How can I make you live a good life? When I think about you doing such a tiring work in the wind and rain, it hurts me here. She touched herself heart. Looks like meat hurts. Damn it, So King He felt that what the old lady said made sense. She felt that she had some great potential. Because she, like the original owner, doesn't want to do farm work. This aunt is really brainwashing, and every word of it comes to my heart. Okay, she won't say anything about the daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law. Mom, the girls, they can't be too bad at ordinary times. Are they the children of our Sua family? What about your granddaughter? And I'm worried. My brother feels uncomfortable, they should still. They dare. Gao Xiaolin was immediately excited. If they dare to have opinions, I can't scold them. She looked at So King He as if she was facing an enemy, and she saw So King He with a guilty conscience, and wondered if she had just collapsed, so the old lady saw something. In the end, I heard Gao Xiaolin say, did your brothers be dissatisfied with their performance in front of you? Tell me, I'll go find them. It's all overwhelmed. No. So King He didn't want to cause a family war. Gao Xiaolin didn't believe it, there must be, or you wouldn't say this. It must be those rascals who were born uneasy. One or two have no conscience. You are a girl who has no father since childhood. They were raised so much by their father. If you're full and warm, you can't tolerate this girl. It's all black-heart things. So King He. She will never collapse again. Mom, my brother and them are very honest with you, don't worry. I just joked with you when I said that. If they dare to treat me badly, I'll be the first to tell you. She said with a firm face. Gao Xiaolin was very happy when she heard it, and she stretched out her hand and hugged her daughter. I knew that our mothers have two hearts in this family. So King He felt that if they wanted to continue doing this, the two of them would really have one mind in this family. Her sister-in-laws, who have been oppressed for a long time, could not resist. This is totally unrealistic, unless her brothers are all brain dead. Lin Shihong thinks that her man has a brain problem. Speaking badly, I can't listen to it. She shed tears as she walked. Anyway, we can't live this day. You see, today we are going to eat a bite of soybeans in the full moon, and we are scolded like that by my mother. I know it must not be eaten. You can't always scold like that. What's wrong with the girl movie? Isn't the eldest girl also a girl movie? What are you talking about? Let me smoke you again. Sui Guo raised his hand angrily. So scared Lin Shihong suddenly forgot to cry. Immediately he reacted again, you smoke, I forget it if you smoke to death. Sui Guo was embarrassed for a moment, and withdrawn his hand in a slanderous manner, and said solemnly, anyway, don't speak ill of the eldest sister. She is pitiful, and our father is gone when we are in our mother's stomach. Our brothers don't hurt. Who hurts? Before we got married, I said that I would take care of my sister. You agreed. Why are you arguing with me now? I didn't expect your family to be able to care for people in this respect, Lin Shihong cried aggrievedly. She was aggrieved. Why did she want to marry Sui Guo at the beginning? Seeing that he was tall and honest, and he still loved his sister very much, she felt that she was a real person, but it turned out to be something wrong. Anyway, if you don't tell Mom about the things that we've been alone, I'll go back to my mother's house. Hearing that Lin Shihong was still reluctant, Sui Guo couldn't help quarreling with her, and followed her. Well, you can go back and live for a few days. Lin Shihong. Behind the two, Ding Gihua and Sui Hua were also secretly watching them make a fuss. Sui Hua watched it with gusto, but Ding Gihua had a lot of ideas. However, her family's conditions are poor, and Sui Hua is chasing backwards. In addition, Sui Hua's temper is not as honest as Sui Guo. She does not dare to make trouble like Lin Shihong. Hey, Hua, do you think the sister-in-law can succeed? Sui Hua crooked her mouth. How is it possible? My elder brother can't be separated. Our family won't be separated. What's wrong? You don't want to fight with me too? I'm not saying it's wrong for Mom to care for the elder sister, but Mom is really bad for you sons. Others treat their sons as treasures. Sui Hua nodded, and then sighed, I blame you and sister-in-law. Before my brother and I got married, my mother was very nice to us. Always tell us about childhood. After you walk in, you always annoy your mother. It's annoying to look at us now. Ding Gihua almost choked to death with her anger. At home, So King He smoothly took the key to the kitchen from Gao Xiaolin. The excuse is to cook something when you are hungry. Gao Xiaolin is of course no objection. He gave her the key without saying anything, and told her not to be deceived by the two sisters-in-law. The food at home is in the big urn in my room. When you are hungry, look for it. You can't cook, so you can eat dried sweet potatoes to cushion your stomach. When your sister-in-law comes back, let your sister-in-law make it. Keep your eyes on it. Don't let them hide the food secretly. The food at home can't stand up to their spoils. So King He nodded solemnly. In fact, she did not dare to defeat the food at home. At the moment, many places are in a wasteland. Like the Yellow River production team, the wheat output this year is very low. After visually paying the public grain, every household basically has no grain. It's not yet autumn, and there is not much left in the family's surplus. This time there is no food, and we have to survive until autumn. But looking at the year of this year, there is no expectation in autumn. The old farmers in the village can see that everyone tightens their belts and is reluctant to eat food. They go to dig wild vegetables or pick up bark to make soup. Today Sue's lunch is made of various wild vegetables mixed with corn husks. After Gao Xiaolan was carrying her little grandson and leading her grandson and granddaughters to find wild vegetables, So Qinghe went to Gao Xiaolan's room to get some sorghum noodles, and then secretly opened the family kitchen. The kitchen is very simple and pitiful with few things, and the stove is all cultivated in soil. The big iron pot at home was also used to make steel, and now it's just a clay pot for cooking. This environment is really bitter. System, when I'm cooking, there won't be any magical scenes. I'm worried about being burned as a monster. Host, please rest assured to work. Host's level of craftsmanship can't make food that can glow. The strongman So Qinghe broke his wrist, rolled up his sleeves and walked under the stove, ready to light the fire. However, she quickly discovered the problem. She can't light it. There were a few matches, but none of them struck. System, what's this going on? The almighty military sister system No 01 is for you. May I ask if you start the cooking device? There is this kind of operation. So Qinghe was shocked. She tried, fire. As soon as the voice fell, the firewood stuffed in the stove was ignited. As soon as the fire was lit, So Qinghe hurriedly put the water in the clay pot, and then threw the sorghum noodles into the pot and boiled it together. So Qinghe didn't know how to cook this thing at all, so he let the fire cook like this. When the water boils, the sorghum noodles inside are cooked. The brown sticky object made her look no appetite at all. However, this thing is the staple food at this time. No wonder the original owner went to the big canteen to eat meat, and she really wanted to go to the big canteen to eat meat. Ding! The cooking task is completed, and you will get a little cooking skill, and you will be rewarded with a pound of pork belly. So Qinghe suddenly felt his head crashed for a second. Then the storage box in the system interface lights up, and a number 1 appears on it. So Qinghe returned to his senses, and immediately opened the storage box and took a look. There was a piece of smooth pork belly lying in it. Meat, meat, meat is very delicious at first glance. But it's not right, because it's meat, she wants to eat meat, but in this situation, obviously food is more important. System, can I change it? Why is it meat? I want white noodles and rice. She doesn't want to eat these weird pastes. Host, please note that the task reward is the most favorite food in the host's heart each time, and the host's ideas will be conveyed to the system through brain waves, and the system meets the needs of the host. Why didn't you say it earlier? So Qinghe resisted the urge to strangle it to death. Don't human beings like to get what they want? This is the first time the system is set to give the host an award surprise. It's fine, but didn't she think of meat at the last minute? No, she should be grateful for the carnivorous thing she thought of. If she thought of these strange slurries, she wouldn't have to cry to death. Thinking about what the system had just said, she smiled happily. So, what kind of ingredients I want in the future? If I want abalone and shark fin. She felt that the full banquet was right in front of her. The host, please note that the reward for each task is based on the host's labor. According to the amount of meals the host has just made, it is only for a family of 3 in this era, so the reward is half a caddy of pork belly. Because the host won the first time, the reward is turned over times, so a total of 1 caddy is rewarded. So Qinghe fully understood that this system is indeed a system for training military women, not a system that can be used for opportunism. Fully follow the basic principles of work more, get more money, and distribute according to work. in order to prevent someone from being lazy and playing slippery. And lazy people like her are the key targets of the system. System, please help me greet your maker and his ancestors. Sorry for the host, the system is currently unable to contact StarCraft. The information of the maker's ancestor has not been entered. The system cannot search for the maker's ancestor, and the task cannot be completed. So King He felt that it was very naive to say this to an artificial intelligence. Simply put him in a small black room temporarily, and then began to pack up these things that he had made. She can't eat these, Goofy. Simply put these pastes up. So King He was startled by the kick of the kitchen door as soon as he took the sea bowl and prepared it to serve it. Looking up, the eldest brother Suaguo was looking into the kitchen with a panic face, and found that there was nothing in it. Only So King He stood stupidly in it. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. Sister, it's you. I watching our house smoking on the threshing floor, I thought it was on fire and it scared me to death. As soon as Suaguo finished speaking, Suaguo returned, followed by Ding Dihua and Lin Shuhong. Seeing no at home, they are all a bit silly. Suaihua said, Sister, what are you doing? I want to learn how to make things for you to eat. So King He said, after all, he is a family, and it is necessary to brush up on good feelings. Hearing So King He's words, the eyes of several people were stunned. Suaihua said, Big sister, what's wrong with you? You've never even touched the stove. Why do you want to cook? Ding Dihua thinks that her man is usually very smart, and she is stupid when meeting his sister. How could the eldest sister cook? Of course, she secretly cooks her own food. Lin Shuhong's eyes were red. Her two daughters are still starving, and the eldest sister keeps a small stove all day long and can add meals. Her fateful girl, she is also a girl, her fate is so much worse. Suaguo was moved, Sister, you really have grown up. But you don't do this. Your sister-in-law can cook, you don't need to do it. So King He smiled, Well, are you hungry? Do you want to eat something before going to work? Suaguo waved his hand, Sister, eat more by yourself, we still have work in the field. Don't worry about the dishes and chopsticks after eating, you are not in good health, so take a good rest. So King He said that she is the healthiest in the whole family. Suaguo led other people with different minds to leave, and So King He was relieved. She didn't expect that cooking a meal could cause such a sensation. Think about it, too, many people in this era eat 2 meals a day. Isn't it surprising that the chimney suddenly smokes? Forget it, I will cook at normal times in the future. It's easy to cook anyway. Don't you just throw something into the pot and cook it on the fire? It doesn't seem to be difficult at all, and it's not very tiring. Host, please note that since the host already has 1 point of cooking skill, the next time you cook, you must get a compliment from someone in order to get the corresponding reward. Host, perfunctory labor is shameful. So King He wanted to greet the maker's ancestor again. For this exploitative behavior, she wants to protest, then if I get a dozen skill points, how many people do I have to cook for? Host, please note that the system stipulates that the host's craft must be approved by the family members who live with it, and the above restrictions are lifted by themselves. Please study hard, improve your cooking skills, and lift the restrictions as soon as possible. Upon hearing the latter words, So King He knew that he had no hope. Sure enough, this system is cultivating. If you can't improve yourself, the system will have limitations. This can't be faked. Thinking that he really needs to devote himself to cooking in the future, So King He suddenly felt that he had nothing to love. She is all people who want to lie down and wait to eat. So King He is fortunate that he is a thinkable person, that is, to live a life, since he can't resist such a life, then learn to enjoy it. For example, how many tricks can she make with this piece of pork belly? Thinking of the oily braised pork, she sucked. Before she swallowed her saliva, she was stunned. No, this meat, why did she take it out and make it? She can't secretly eat alone, the problem is that she wants to eat but can't eat alone. A smoke can alarm a family. If this smells of meat, it will not disturb the whole village. It's hard for a clever woman to cook with meat. So King He felt that she had to think of a way to solve the source of this piece of meat. It can't be turned into flesh out of thin air. Hurry up to fetch water and wash the vegetables. You have to eat it at night. Do ya act fast, such a big person needs me to urge. Ya go to the kitchen to get a bamboo basket, Sanya. Sanya go to me bring the bench here, oops, my old arms and legs, I have to serve this big family. I'm really exhausted. In the kitchen, So King He was embarrassed when she heard Gao Ziolin's voice. Hurriedly ran out of it, Mom, you are back. Gao Ziolin was about to sit and rest. Seeing her daughter coming out of the kitchen, she almost sat on the ground in shock. She stood up and said, King Miao why didn't you sleep in the afternoon? Oh, I just learned to cook. When Gao Ziolin heard that her daughter was cooking, she burst into tears with excitement, and hurriedly ran to the kitchen. Let me see what our young crops have done. Seeing the sorghum mush in the ocean bowl on the stove, she wiped her tears. My Qing Miao is really filial, and he cooks. Ouch, what are you doing? There are mothers and your sister-in-laws, you don't need to do this, how tired. Mom, it's actually okay. So King He smiled, thinking that her mother really loves her. This cooked a little browned paste, and was still moved to weep bitterly. She was about to ask what to do with the meal, so she watched a little girl with croissants at the door grabbing the door frame, only poking her head out, with longing in her eyes. The longing eyes were aimed at the burnt yellow on the stovetop. This little girl is Sue Aguo's youngest daughter Aria Sue Menu, who is only 5 years old now. She was arguing about eating soybeans before, but she was scolded by Gao Ziolin. So King He felt that her mood was complicated. She made it so that she could get such a longing look, which shows how hungry the child is. She beckoned, are you hungry? Come on, Gu just made some food, let's taste it. Su Menu's eyes lit up. Gao Ziolin suddenly became unhappy. What to eat, what a blessing, I can still eat the food her aunt cooked. I haven't even had a bite. Her eldest daughter is cooking for the first time, so how can she eat it for the girl? Su Menu was so scared that she ran away, fearing that she would curse again. The corner of So King He's mouth twitched. It is definitely impossible to be reasonable. Gao Ziolin is now at the level of MLM, she is ashamed, and she doesn't dare to set up casually now. I can only turn around and say, Mom, the food I made for the first time is not good, I am afraid you will not eat well. I plan to make another meal in the evening, and you will be the first one to taste. Oh, and the kids, forget it. I'll make you some good food tonight. She suddenly felt that this mother could become her first cooking approving person. Hearing So King He's words, Gao Ziolin felt her heart bright and warm. Mom doesn't want you to cook and work. How tired, what should I do if you are hot? Mom, when I'm so old, I always look for opportunities to be filial to you. Mom, you have worked hard. Gao Ziolin's eyes were red, and she wiped her tears. I just said, my daughter is the most filial in this family. Everything else is blackheart. So King He, Mom, then I'll share these with Arya and the others. Gao Ziolin nodded and said, divide it. A group of girls don't know how many good things they did in their previous life and can eat what her aunt did. So King He nodded, yeah, I don't know how many good things I have done in my previous life to be a daughter of your old man. The 9-year-old girl Su Zhenjiao was washing vegetables in the bucket, and the 5-year-old Su Menu squatted on the side to work. Even the 3-year-old Su Banyu sat on the side with a small bench and handed the 2 cousins unwashed vegetable. Seeing So King He coming out, the 3 of them were a little scared. My aunt usually doesn't care about them, but if they make her unhappy, my aunt will ask for a milk complaint and throw it out if she is disobedient. Some starving children in the village were thrown out. So King He was stabbed in the chest by their reaction, and she tried her best to put on a good expression. Come here, I made something delicious, hurry up and eat it. 3 children. Auntie, I want to eat, I want to eat. Su Dabao, the grandson of the Su family, ran out of the house, followed by the 2-year-old grandson Su Erbao. Needless to say, this name was taken by Gao Ziolan, thinking that there will be 3 treasures and 4 treasures behind. The 2 children entered the kitchen one after the other. So King He divided the food into small bowls for them, leaving more than half to be shared among the 3 children. Just as he was about to call them 3, So Menu was drooling on the door frame again. So King He beckoned, come here, Gao Ziolan, who was feeding her grandson next to her, roared, you can eat the dead girl's slices. You have to ask your aunts to urge for to eat something. Isn't it still? I have to kowtow and beg to eat. If you don't eat it in the future, just starve to death. The 3 children outside immediately ran in, and even the 3-year-old Soabanya ran quickly. In a blink of an eye, the 3 children had already stood in front of So King He with their own bowls and chopsticks, waiting to divide the food. His eyes were still looking at the ocean bowl. So King He quickly sorted them out. One person divided half of the bowl. After the division was finished, they all started to eat. Looks like eating the delicacies of the mountains and the sea. So King He couldn't help but said, Mom, let them eat more at ordinary times. This is going to be hungry. Why didn't you eat it? If you didn't eat it, I would have thrown it to Nyudishan early. How many children have been thrown in our team? It will be enough to survive, and I hope to be full. This is not the case. When I ate in the big canteen 2 years ago, the bark was not enough to eat, so what should I give them to eat? Gao Ziolan thinks that she made this milk very well. At any rate, the child didn't starve to death. The 3 children nodded one after another when they heard what the grandma said. Seeing them like this, So King He suddenly felt a sense of pride. She was cooking. So Aguo and the others came back late in the evening, and now it is busy farming. Every day, we have to wait for the sun to go down. As soon as they came back, Gao Ziolan started muttering, how nice King Miao is to you, knowing you are busy, and cooking for your children. She didn't eat a bite by herself. Just those of you who have no conscience don't think about her. So King He was sitting at the door thinking about things. Hearing Gao Ziolan's words, her face suddenly twitched. So Aguo and So Ihua knew that So King He was cooking in the middle of the afternoon, but they didn't expect to feed them to their children. The 2 were extremely moved. Sister, don't work so hard, they'll be fine with 1 bite. So Aguo rode. So Ihua also nodded, big sister, tell me what you want to eat in the future, let me think about it. So King He, brother, you are so kind to me. The sister-in-law is behind you, you are really big-hearted. So Aguo was moved and said, you said something stupid. Brother is not good to you, who else is good to you? His daughter-in-law Lin Chihong also had red eyes, sadly red. Why is she so hard? Ding Dihua still calmed down and said with a smile, my eldest sister has worked hard, let me cook the dinner for the evening. Gao Ziolan snorted coldly, forget it, Qing Miao said, she will cook dinner. You can help me. The second daughter-in-law's mind is clear, isn't it just to eat more while cooking? When Ding Dihua heard it, she couldn't hold it anymore. What is the eldest sister doing? Of course, So King He wanted to quickly unblock her restrictions. She thought it was not easy for her to get praise from her family for her broken craft, but she suddenly realized that there are a few brain-dead fans in her family, which is a very easy task. So I decided to unblock it with great effort, and then I could be lazy later. In the evening, under Gao Ziolan's expectation, and with the assistance of his 2 sister-in-laws, So King He made a meal of wild vegetables and sorghum porridge for the whole family. This time it was not bad, because she has some cooking skills, so she still knows how much salt should be put in this pot of porridge. Compared with the previous pot, it has been significantly improved, and suddenly I feel that this skill point is really easy to use. When the food was on the table, Gao Xiaolan and her two sons looked excitedly at a pot of porridge made by So King He. Gao Xiaolan said distressedly while sharing the porridge, "This is what Qing Miaoer did." So King He sat on the side watching everyone eating, and then asked everyone, "Is it delicious?" "It's delicious, it's delicious." Gao Xiaolan and her mother nodded eagerly. Ding! The cooking task is completed, the cooking skill is rewarded 1 point, and the reward is 3 kilograms of white flour. After going down for a second, So King He breathed a sigh of relief. With the flour and meat, he was able to eat dumplings. I have to find a way to get these things out. Gao Xiaolan was stunned looking at the extra meat and flour in the big urn, as well as sorghum noodles in the room. Holding a stream of tears. "Oh, Big Root, you know my suffering. I am to grow up your 3 sons and 1 girl. It is not easy for me. Sons are all things that have forgotten their mothers when they marry their daughters-in-law. I am suffering. Just our daughters are filial, and they are not good to their sisters. I am suffering." In the next room, So King He couldn't sleep anymore, so he just sat up and rubbed his eyes. She's a mother who can talk nonsense with her eyes open, very good, very powerful. This is why she throws the pot to her mother. According to her own idea, she wanted to take it out by herself. But after thinking about it a few times, she didn't think it would work. She doesn't have the ability to open her eyes and tell lies. It's not convincing. Gao Xiaolan is different, she is old, it would be better if she can solve this problem. Anyway, she would not have direct contact with the food that was taken out. Just a dream, who knows it will come true. Of course, things can't be taken out for nothing. So King He walked out the door wearing a thin coat, and shouted at Gao Xiaolan's room, "Mom, what's the noise? I'm still sleeping." Gao Xiaolan's voice stopped immediately, and within a few seconds, she opened the door, looking at her precious girl with tears and nose, and then came directly from the room, pulled So King He into the house. "Girl, hurry up, come on." So King He was pulled into the room directly, the door was closed, and the light was dim. Gao Xiaolan pulled her to the side of the big urn and asked her to look inside. Girl, what your dad said is true, he really helped us." So King He looked shocked and trembled all over. "Mom, you said my dad gave this." "Yeah, I was also forced by those to have no choice. Thinking of what you said, I just took a casual look today. It's really too much." Gao Xiaolan said excitedly. So King He said, "No, I was thinking about it yesterday, and I thought I might just be dreaming. Why would there be such a thing? Isn't it the 4 olds that break the feudal superstition outside? Mom, will it be someone else? Is it my brother?" When So King He didn't believe it, Gao Xiaolan was anxious, "They just don't have this ability. Girl, your dream is real, it's really your dad. When I go to bed at night, I go to the door, and I know whoever comes in. I didn't find anyone coming in, it must be your father who let it go." So King He looked scared. "Mom, my heart is straight, shall we talk to others?" "You silly girl, what are you talking about? This is from your dad. It's from our family, you don't need to be a father-in-law." So King He said, "But, how can we take this thing out? I can't tell them that my dad gave it." Gao Xiaolan deeply agreed, this man forgets his mother when he marries his wife. "Your brother, they know, they must tell your sister-in-law and others. Your sister-in-law are outsiders, and they don't agree with us." Looking back, what is Lao Lin's family, Lao Ding's family? You have to know. These things that are not safe must be said with a big mouth. "Hey, unfortunately, I don't know how much your dad can deliver and when. Home. Let's leave it alone. Your dad raises it anyway. The man who became a family can't let your dad raise it. So King He looked at the roof. Very good, she finally saw the reality of crossing the river to demolish the bridge. The problem is that she was a little moved. It seems to be able to solve the problem by itself. So King He was still thinking about it, and Gao Xiaolin said again, forget it, your dad can't rely on it. After so many years, I've been in a wasteland this time, and I don't know what to do in the future. It's better to rely on your brother and them. Someone will take care of you, and someone will take care of you. When the family is separated, I can't take care of them anymore. Who will take care of you in the future? Mom, what are you going to do now? We can't eat secretly. We will find it at home. Gao Xiaolin looked seriously thinking. So King He also thought about it. Suddenly, she had an idea. Mom, or let's say it was given by someone else. Who gave this thing so kindly these years? Gao Xiaolin shook her head. So King He said, oh, mother, of course it is not for nothing. Just say that we are kind to others. For example, you or me, whoever saved the life of the two of us, is a big cotter, and there is food at home. In order to repay the kindness, we will subsidize. In the future, if my dad brings things back, we will run around in the county town, and then come back, we will say that they gave it. If they ask which cotter, they will say that they don't want to show up, let brother and sister-in-law don't tell them. Yes, if we say it out, they won't subsidize our family. The most important thing is to make our family believe. When the time comes, my brother and sister-in-law can't be good to us. I know, I didn't work. It must be uncomfortable. Gao Xiaolin frowned, they dare. Her face stretched. However, he frowned again and said solemnly, you are right, and I am still here, they can still treat you well, if I leave later, who will treat you well? He started to feel sorry for his daughter again. She looked like her daughter was the poorest child in the world. So King He's mouth twitched, so Mom, then let's go to the county later, and when I come back, I will tell people that you have helped other leaders find the wrong child on the road. They thank you, so they will give you meat and noodles. I also admitted the kinship. If your dad still brings things, let's say that people subsidize you. I see them eating your food, but why don't you say you don't work? Mom, you are really kind to me. So King He hugged her. What the mother didn't say, although it's a bit of that, but it's really kind to her. After the mother and daughter were combined, Gao Xiaolin carried the bamboo basket, put the things in the bamboo basket, and covered it with broken cotton wool. Go out with So King He. Before leaving the house, I went to talk to the big girl Su Zhenjiao who was washing clothes outside, and asked her to look after her younger siblings at home. I was busy responding. She would rather work more, as long as Ma and Aunt are not staring at her at home. Gao Xiaolin was really ready to take So King He to the county hospital for an examination. There are things that can be done so that people can't make mistakes and do their best. Gao Xiaolin felt sorry for her daughter on the way. How tired you walked so far. I blame your brother and them. If they weren't afraid that they had a daughter-in-law and forget their mother, I would definitely take them with them. They are all conscienceless. Yes. It's just you and me. Your dad must also know that you are the most filial, so he gave you a dream. Mom, isn't it that I am weak? People who are kind-hearted are weak. You are kind-hearted. In Gao Xiaolin's eyes, her daughter is always the best. The others are all black heart stuff. The two went to the county hospital. The nurse remembered them last time, and looked at the two mothers coming, like a big enemy. Gao Xiaolin didn't have time to quarrel with them today, so she asked her daughter to check her quickly. When I heard that there was no problem, I asked about the soybeans. The nurse gritted her teeth and said, Madam, it's gone. Many malnourished patients don't have enough food. Gao Xiaolin waved her hand in disgust. Okay, let me just ask, you just say that. It's not bullying our old peasants. If my man is still there, I might be a big cotter now. My man is a martyr, for sacrificed in the war of liberation. So King He pulled Gao Xiaolin and it was almost done, so he should go home and cook the meat. Gao Xiaolin snorted and took her daughter out of the hospital. Seeing them go, the others all breathed a sigh of relief. After leaving the hospital, Niang Liang made a circle around the county seat before rushing home. When the two returned home, it was already noon. Some people's homes lit up cooking smoke, and some people's homes could not eat at noon and were deserted. Lao Su's house was also deserted. Because Gao Xiaolin is not at home and the kitchen is locked, no one in the family can cook. Watching Gao Xiaolin and So King He come back, the whole family came out to greet them. Sua Aguo and Sua Ihua both looked worried. Sua Aguo said, "Mom, what's wrong with the eldest sister, why is it uncomfortable?" Sua Ihua said, "Did you not eat well?" Gao Xiaolin snorted, "Isn't it exhausted? I have been cooking at home for the past 2 days. Can I not be tired?" The doctor in the hospital said, "Let her rest more." So King He, the eldest daughter-in-law of the Sua family and the second daughter-in-law. So King He hurriedly said, "Big brother and second brother, let's go into the house, we can eat meat today." As soon as the word meat came out, all the people of the Sua family looked at her. I think their sister is dreaming, where can I eat meat these days? There is not a single pig hair. Gao Xiaolin ignored them, and pulled her daughter directly into the kitchen door and entered the kitchen. The others quickly followed in. When the adults entered the house, Gao Xiaolin drove the children out, then closed the door and took out the contents in the back basket. Seeing the meat and white noodles Gao Xiaolin brought out, the whole family was stunned. The throat was still moving, and I couldn't help swallowing. Sua Aguo said in a difficult voice, "Mom, where did this come from? Their family can still eat meat?" Gao Xiaolin said, "I'm not relying on your sister." The others looked at So King He. So King He said happily, "Brother, you don't know. My mother and I went to the county hospital today. When we were about to leave the county, we ran into a child crying. I looked pitiful, so I sent her to see her parents. My parents turned out to be cotters from the province. They came here to walk with relatives. The child almost lost. To thank us, they gave me meat and flour. They also said that they recognized me as a dry relative. If they encounter difficulties in the future, go find them." Hearing So King He's legendary experience, the family was in great mood. The eldest sister got such a good thing because she was kind enough, and she could help in the future. Sua Aguo said excitedly, "Eldest sister, brother knows that you are a kind and blessed person." Sua Ihua said, "That's right, although our elder sister doesn't have the pain of her father, but our brother is in pain, and now we are meeting nobles again, who dares to say that our elder sister is not lucky? Because the eldest sister is a posthumous child, the villagers say her it's a natural hardship. When they were young, they did not fight because of this." Lin Shihong and Ding Gihua looked at each other in a mixed mood. They can still be exposed to the light of the sister-in-law, and they don't know if the meat will be eaten by them. Even if you don't feed it to them, you can feed it to the children. So King He exhorted, "Brother, don't talk about this. The big cotters are secretly subsidizing us. It's not good to say it. And now there is a wasteland everywhere. If people know that our family has noble people to help, they will definitely be jealous of our family." Gao Xiaolin snorted coldly, "Anyway, whoever said that he missed a word, and let the big cotters of the family not help us in the future, they are the sinners of our family." Sua Aguo and Sua Ihua hurriedly said, "Mom, we are a family, we definitely won't talk about it." Lin Shihong and Ding Gihua also nodded quickly. "Well, today Qing Miao are said to cook and want to learn to cook meat dishes. The eldest daughter-in-law and the second daughter-in-law stay here to help." The two responded in a hurry. Ding Gihua whispered, "Mom, do we eat meat today?" Eat, eat, you know how to eat. If it's not for Qing Miaoer, you guys have a fart. Gao Xiaolin cursed. If it weren't for Qing Miaoer to say that she wanted to try meat dishes, she would not take out a bite. All of them were dried and eaten for the new year. Ding Gihua didn't dare to speak immediately. Honestly, he went to brush the clay pot, while Lin Shihong went to the fire, waiting for the sister-in-law to cook something. The two were ready, and so King He also cut off a small piece of pork belly under Gao Xiaolin's fiery eyes. There is only one catty of pork belly, so I definitely can't eat it all at once. In this famine year, you have to keep whatever grain you care about. So Gao Xiaolin only asked So King He to cut off a small piece of meat and cut it into slices to cook and eat. The others were rubbed with salt and hung on the beams of the kitchen to dry. Wait and eat slowly later. It just so happened that the youngest third Sui Dang was still outside making steel and hadn't come back, so he could still have a bite when he came back. Gao Xiaolin feels a little guilty about the two sons who have been married and gave birth to children, but Gao Xiaolin still pays more attention to this one who has not yet married a wife. After all, before marrying a wife, his son and himself could barely be on one mind. Seeing So King He carefully cutting the meat slices, leaving a hand of meat oil in his hands, Ding Gihua and Lin Shihong kept swallowing. So King He looked at the two of them and deliberately said, "Sister-in-law, I don't know if the meat I cooked is not good. If you think it is not good, I won't cook in the future. I don't want to waste things." Hearing So King He's words, Ding Gihua immediately said, "Sister, you must be delicious." So King He threw the meat slices into the pot, and asked her sister-in-law Lin Shihong to throw firewood into it and cook. The children smelled the scent, and they were all drooling at the door frame. But because Gao Xiaolin doesn't like children going into the kitchen, none of them dare to go in. Even the grandson Su Dabao is the same as the little grandson Su Erbao. It seems that after a long time, the cooked meat slices and miscellaneous grains are finally on the table. A large pot, because of the fat in it, it looks too greasy, especially greedy. Gao Xiaolin started to divide the meal with a stern face. These are all brought back by Qing Miaoer. Qing Miaoer eats more. He directly gave So King He a big scoop. So King He didn't really eat such food before, but now he has no choice. Except for So King He, who enjoys privileged treatment, the others are allocated according to their labor. The children got a piece of meat more or less. As soon as the food arrived in the bowl, everyone feasted on it. It's grunting, like a big meal. They are eating zhengxiang, So King He said, "How is my craft?" "It's delicious, delicious, really delicious." Sui Guo wrote. The others nodded eagerly, "It's delicious. Why might it be bad to have meat?" So King He's head crashed for a second, finally relieved. Sure enough, there are still loopholes in the system. Who can say that meat is not good in this age? If anyone eats a bite of meat, it is definitely a deep emotion from the bottom of their heart, it's delicious. After eating, Lin Shihong and Ding Gihua packed up their dishes, and So King He sat at the door to rest. The feeling of eating and drinking is good. She squinted into the system and took a look. 3 caddies of rice were already inside. The data in the skill point column is currently, clothes 0. Food, 4 live, 0 row, 0 she has cooked 5 meals so far. Except for one that was not recognized, the other 4 have been recognized by new members. You only need to get approval from one person every time you cook. Judging by the current number of people in the family, as long as she cooks for a few more days, she won't need anyone's approval in the future. And these few times, she also discovered that others can help, as long as she puts things in the pot and she is the one who is in charge. It's too easy to cook. Same as boiling instant noodles. The Sui family had a meal of meat, and they looked vigorous when they went to work. On the way, the 2 brothers of the Sui family felt particularly emotional when they saw other people's faces tightening their trousers and belts. Thanks to the eldest sister, Shihong, we have to be nice to the eldest sister in the future. Sueguo Road. For him, who is going to raise a sister for a lifetime, it is beyond words to be able to eat a bite of meat with her sister. Lin Chihong. When was it bad for sister-in-law? She just couldn't understand that her mother-in-law was too partial, and her eldest daughter and third daughter were not regarded as people. She looked uncomfortable. He stared at his man. When can this stupid man be able to open his mouth? Ding Gihua licked her lips next to her. In order to prevent people from discovering that they had eaten meat at home, she cleaned her mouth long before going out, but she still felt that her mouth was fragrant. Although she is not convinced that the sister-in-law enjoys the privileges at home, she still has to thank the older sister for this meal. It would be great if I could meet nobles like the older sister. Ding Gihua said with full expectation. Suihua smiled. How can you compare with our elder sister? Our elder sister is likable at first sight, and the princes of others will look at her, instead of you. At most a few caddies of cornmeal will be passed away. Ding Gihua. Why did she go blind and fell in love with such a man? Angrily, he hurried away. On the road, I ran into the daughter-in-law of Su de Peo in the same village. The daughter-in-law of de Peo looked at her and said, Osmanthus, I quarreled with your man again, for your eldest sister? To be honest, your mother-in-law spoiled your eldest sister, and she did let her people can't stand it anymore. I feel shy when I look at it. You see, my mother-in-law loves me a lot, and I eat first at home. The older sisters and younger sisters are all behind. Can the married girl compare with the daughter-in-law who comes in? Ding Gihua agreed with this person very much. Her mother-in-law's attitude towards the sister-in-law was really shabby, not to mention the whole village, but the whole team and the whole commune could not find a second one like this. But she smashed her mouth, thinking of the meat at noon. Her mouth was a little soft. What do you care about? Do you let you take care of our family's affairs? That's our old Sua family's business. The daughter-in-law was hit by Ding Gihua, and the corners of her mouth twitched. It's over. Ding Gihua is not normal. It's not normal. De Pao wife was angry and left. Ding Gihua waited for Suihua to come again. Do you know what De Pao wife said? Suihua crooked her mouth. What can she say? Isn't it just that she can't understand other people's houses? Don't listen to her nonsense. The daughter-in-law of De Peo ate at home, the first one to eat. I don't say that the first one ate. I want to eat as much as the eldest sister, who is also a daughter-in-law. Why is the gap so big? Ding Gihua suffocated her heart. Cooks more than cows, eats less than chickens, and has to be angry with her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Why can't her men see her grievances? Suihua looked at her inexplicably. Are you stupid? Can this be compared? There are 2 daughters and 1 daughter-in-law. We will definitely have 3 daughters-in-law and 1 daughter in the future. Is this unclear? Ding Gihua looked at the sky. Her heart hurts. Knowing that there are meat and white noodles at home, even if you don't eat much in your mouth, it gives people hope. When working, the 4 members of the Sua family worked very hard. The old Captain Guo Chongsheng was very satisfied with this, and when he was off work, he also specially named and praised the active performance of the old Sua family in labor. At this time, the Sua brothers and their 2 daughters-in-law are wondering whether they can eat meat if they go home today. With the help of meat, So King he received the sincere approval of others for the next few meals. And the system did not find this loophole. After getting the approval of the last family member, the 2-year-old nephew, So King he went back to the room with joy to check the system. There have been several rewards in the storage space. Except for a few times that the sorghum noodles were delivered to the big urn, the other meats and rice white noodles were temporarily kept out. The meat for the first time has not been eaten, so I put a little bit of it in the pot every day, and it will taste meaty. So King he didn't intend to let the family live too extravagantly at once. This is a famine year, too extravagant to be abnormal. Of course, her own millet porridge and eggs are not broken every day. Cough cough, this is not the point. The point is that through her own efforts, she has made her family members have oily water in her stomach, and she doesn't need to tighten her belt. What makes her most happy is that the skill point in the food column has reached 10 points. System, don't you say that 10 points is a perfect score? I feel that my current cooking skills are at most the level of an average cook in a small restaurant. You don't have high requirements for the military wife. Host, please note that the current level of the host is the basic A-level culinary qualification standard. There is a higher level. So King He asked in surprise. Host, please note that the highest level is this level, and the standard is the level of the top chef of the Interstellar. You can make food that will glow. It's powerful. Food can still shine. Then how can I level up? You won't want me to be recognized by others, right? Host, please note that as long as it reaches the recognition of all family members and has 10 skill points, the cooking skill will automatically be upgraded to B level, and the host will proceed to the cooking skill B level upgrade assessment process. The B level cooking skill assessment is a system assessment. Every time you pass, you will get 1 skill point and double the material reward. The specific assessment method system will be issued to the host after the upgrade. So King He felt that he had once again refreshed his understanding of the system. This system is to tempt you to work all the time and improve your abilities. However, as the material reward increases, the difficulty also increases. System assessment, there is no way to take advantage of it. So King He knew in her heart that she was completely taking advantage of the loopholes. If she lived in the 21st century when the streets were full of various kinds of food, she would definitely not be able to get the approval of others so easily. Thanks to the lack of food and clothing in the 60s, a few pieces of meat were done. Of course, the average family in the 21st century does not have as many people as her current family. Forget it, anyway, I have reached the elementary level. According to the system, as long as the family members approve it, it can be unblocked. She can always unblock it now. Anyway, junior cooking skills can also be rewarded. It just got less. The next morning, So King He cooked himself a meal. Try to see if you can get a reward. After cooking the millet porridge, she waited to upgrade. As a result, nothing happened after waiting for a long time. System, what about unblocking it? Host, please note that there are currently family members who have not approved the host's cooking skills. How is it possible, or where did my 10 skill points come from? Host, please note that there are still family members who have not approved the host's cooking skills. The machine repeated the sentence. So King He suddenly became depressed, narrowed his eyes and thought, suddenly thinking of someone. I forgot, I still have a brother. So King He came to this world for almost 10 days, so AI party has never come back, taking part in steel-making tasks outside. So she never saw her third brother Sui Dang once. In my memory, Sui Dang is the one who protects the original owner the most. If someone bullies So King He, Sui Guo and Sui Hua are going to scare people, and Sui Dang is the one who rushes forward and throws a fist. The 3 sons of the Sui family, Sui Guo is honest, Sui Hua is smooth, and Sui Dang is irritable. Very good, this combination is very powerful. So King He felt that it was time for him to send a loving bento to his brother. So King He was thinking about unblocking, while Gao Xiaolin looked at the big urn in her room every day. There are a few kilograms of sorghum noodles within a few quarters. Although it is coarse grains, it can finally be eaten down. I felt relieved. And I think the sorghum noodles are pretty good too. At least I don't have to go to the county town to run, because no one can see it in my own food. Dagon, I'll get some meat for my family for 10.5 months. When the farmer is busy, I always have to eat some oil and water at home. She only made a wish, and within 2 days, there was a caddy of meat in the big urn at home. In the morning, Gao Xiaolin immediately proposed to go to the county town to see her relatives, and by the way, see if she could catch the autumn breeze. Mom, let me go too. If I don't go, I am worried that others will embarrass you. So King he said. Gao Ziolan said, yes, I'm embarrassing you, such a long way. Pointing to her son and several daughters-in-laws, granddaughters and grandchildren, for you bastards, Qing Miao is going to be tired again. The others bowed their heads. When everyone in the family went to work, Gao Ziolan was carrying a basket and preparing to go out. So King he said, Mom, I want to make some food for my third brother. He hasn't come back in 10 days. He took a bite of the meat at home. I haven't eaten it. He has worked hard to make steel, right? Gao Ziolan sighed, no, it's all nonsense. There is not enough food to eat. Can the iron be used for food? It has been practiced for a few years, and our family has lost a pot. What fame is coming? After speaking, she said again, quick Minger, I will tell your dad to see if he can bring the pot up. Watching Gao Ziolan and So King he leave, Dia led her younger siblings to look at the backs of her two, staring blankly. Gao Ziolan took her daughter to the county seat and made a circle. On the way back, she went to the commune steel-making base. Several large smoke pipes were standing upright, and black smoke was always coming out, and some machines were piled up. I didn't see anything useful, anyway, it was a pile of broken copper and iron, and some scum from training. Seeing these things, Gao Ziolan felt painful, and their big iron pot was sure to be inside. I don't know what it is like to be harmed. Anyway, I'm sure I can't even recognize the scum. She is not easy to scold her mother in this place, so she can only hold her back in her heart and blame these local cotters who are messing around. So King he was quite moved. In order to catch up with the big steel making in Britain and the United States, every family's farm tools and iron pots were made. Today's famine years are not good, and it has something to do with this aspect. On the one hand, all the manpower came to make steel, and on the other hand, the farm tools were smelted. There were not many farm tools left, and the productivity was naturally low. Later, there was a famine. The flamboyant wind, one after another, has caught up with each other. Seeing someone coming, someone in a green uniform came to stop them. Gao Ziolan is not afraid of these people, her man is a martyr. I'm looking for my son, Sui Ai Dang. We are from Sujia village of the Yellow River production team. My sister and I came to see him. Hearing Gao Ziolan's words, the man in the military uniform knew it, and immediately shouted inside. Sui Ai Dang, your mother and your sister came to see you. Come on. Sui Dang responded excitedly from the crowd, and rushed out quickly. So King he hadn't reacted yet, Sui Dang had already stood in front of her. Seeing that her face was dark in front of her eyes, but her body was full of publicity, Sui Dang, she honestly shouted, Brother San. It's really the elder sister here. Sui Ai Dang laughed, I just thought I was wrong. My elder sister doesn't like people who go out. Gao Ziolan said with a stern face, it's not for you bastard, haven't you been back for a long time? There are delicious foods at home, and your elder sister is thinking about you. Sui Ai's expression was moved immediately, I knew that my eldest sister was closest to me. So King he smiled, the original owner is indeed the closest to Sui Ai party, that's because Sui Ai party will eat it. When I was at home, I went up and down to make it delicious. These days, I can still let the original owner eat some meat from time to time, isn't it the closest thing? Brother, I brought you delicious food, can you ask for leave? Yes, it's okay. Sui Dang waved his hand casually, go, let's find a cool place outside. This place is hot, don't make you bad. After finding a shade outside the steel-making base, So King he took out the sorghum-breaded meat dumplings made for Sui Ai. Sui Dang took a look and swallowed, where did our family come from? It's not that your elder sister is capable. Gao Ziolan immediately whispered to her daughter. Anyway, it was So King he's bravery and selflessness that gave the Sui family hope from now on. It gave the Sui family hope that they could eat meat from time to time. If it weren't for my sadness when I was pregnant with your sister, and let your sister fail to raise her well in the womb, which caused her to be in poor health, she might be better than you. Gao Xiaolin continued to brainwash her. Sui Deng nodded his head hurriedly, agreeing with the statement. The elder sister is too pitiful. Not only did she lose her father early, but she also had poor health since she was a child. Also being laughed at by the villagers. So King He looked at Sui Deng and couldn't take care of food anymore, and said anxiously, "Brother, you eat, I made it by myself. Do you think it tastes good? I'm learning cooking at home recently, and I'm learning fast. Mom said I'm smart. I must be like Mom." Gao Xiaolin felt happy after hearing this. She felt that her daughter was like her everywhere. Sui Deng was taken aback when he heard So King He's words, and then looked at the dumpling in his hand. Tears filled his eyes, his face flushed, and then he lowered his head and took a big bite. The eldest sister made it by herself. "Brother, is it delicious?" "It's delicious, it's really delicious." Sui Deng was satisfied spiritually and tastefully. This is true and sincere. Just as he said it, So King He's head crashed. I heard the mechanical sound of the system coming from his head. Congratulations to the host for getting the unanimous recognition of the cooking skills of all the family, and the host's cooking skills reach the A-level qualified standard. Get one piece of kitchen utensils. Please continue to work hard for the host to complete the level assessment. So King He was not too distracted to take care of the system at this time, but she didn't expect that the system would give her extra rewards. She was secretly delighted and curious about what the system rewarded her. The Sui party in front of him had eaten the dumplings in his hand, and ate the second one. So King He said, "Brother, if you don't have enough food here, when will you go home?" Sometimes some tortillas, and sometimes dried sweet potatoes. It's better than what I eat at home." Sui Deng swallowed the food with a face of contentment. "By the way, Mom, don't rush to leave. I saved something for the eldest sister. I will go to the place where I live to get it." Sui Deng ran away as fast as he said. Gao Xiaolin was very satisfied with this. "Fortunately, you are smart, and come over to give your third brother food. We didn't go for a trip in vain." So King He, can't you think of your girl in a simpler way when you are old? Mom, don't tell the third brother that. Gao Xiaolin looked indifferent. "You are his own sister, and you should eat what he has. When you have something good for your sister, who would you like to eat? Your third brother is not married, unlike your elder brother. The two witty wolves of the second brother. King Miao, they are your brother, so you should eat them. Remember this, if you don't eat, you will eat them for other women. Does your heart hurt?" So King He felt that he could no longer listen to this mother's brainwashing. There have been cracks in her three views. Don't wait for her to make her mother change a little bit, she herself has been completely transformed. So King He is working hard to mend his three views, and Sui party has come over with a small bag. The small cloth bag was bulging, and I looked at it with a lot of stuff stuffed in it. Sui Deng gave the cloth bag to Gao Xiaolin. "Mom, this is what I usually save. The elder sister likes to eat dried sweet potatoes, I keep it, and save it for the elder sister as snacks, and some corn cakes. Take it home and give it to the elder sister to eat. It's also because you came today. Otherwise, I'm still worried." "I don't worry about this. Now the ration is getting less and less every day, and I can't get enough to eat. Look at it. The grain's eyes are all green. If it weren't for me to be a bit famous here, I wouldn't be able to keep things." So King He doesn't need to ask, this so-called famous name is naturally a famous name. Her third brother is a well-known violent, and he treats his mother and sister like a spring breeze, and he is a scumbag outside. The old Captain Guo Chongsheng just couldn't control him anymore, so he arranged to come out to make steel. "Love the party, go to work." Someone over there called Sui Deng to go back. Sui Dang's complexion suddenly changed, and he twisted and yelled, "It's up to you, do you want to be beaten? I'm still here with my mom and sister. What are you talking about? Brother, go ahead, Mom and I are also going back." So King He persuaded. "It's okay, they are all grandchildren who are idle and panicking." Sui Dang smiled at his sister. "And it's okay. Recently, there is nothing to practice on it. It's just to pack up some useless things." Gao Xiaolin was on the side reckoning with the grain that her son had just handed in. Hearing this, she immediately said, "If we don't make steel anymore, what should we do with the iron pan? Can we return it to us?" Sui pointed at a pile of waste residue. "Mom, that's it." Gao Xiaolin's face suddenly turned black and Bai was happy. Seeing Gao Xiaolin's black face, Sui Dang immediately said, "Mom, don't worry, I will try to get some steel later and see if I can get it out of it." Upon hearing this, So King He hurriedly said, "Brother, don't do it. It is a great crime if caught. Besides, our family has a way to get an iron pot." She looked back at Gao Xiaolin. "Mom, right, we have a way." Gao Xiaolin knew she was talking about her Mansu Dagon. She is not willing to make her son really commit a crime for a pot. It's one thing to like them or not, and they won't let the sons go down the dark road. Missing a pot. With the backing, Gao Xiaolin is shaking now. This is the confidence. Sui said, "Mom, can it work?" "Why not? When did your mother lie to you?" So King He thought, "Often cheating." Sui Dang shook his head, "Mom, I believe you. If it doesn't work, let's think of a way, but don't take the older sister to be wronged." Gao Xiaolin waved her hand, "Okay, can I still hurt your elder sister?" She stood up and greeted So King He, "King Miao let's go home early. We are still waiting for lunch at home. They are all unconscious. My mother, our mothers are working hard for these unscrupulous rascals." Sui Dang suddenly felt guilty. "I think the eldest sister and mom are all trying to give him food." So King He looked at Sui Dang's expression, and the corners of his mouth froze. Brother, we will go back. If you are free, come back." Sui's eyes reddened sentimentally, and he did not look like the arrogant Lao Tzu who had just been the first. The contrast was too great. So King He rubbed his arms. She really didn't know how her mother brainwashed the three brothers. This one is more outrageous than the other. After leaving the steel-making base, the mother and daughter hurried to the village. Because it was delayed for a while, it was past noon when I got home. There is no time, and it seems to be a little bit soon. Just like last time, watching them come back, the Sui family came out to greet them. Gao Xiaolin held her face and opened the kitchen without saying a word. Then in front of everyone, he took out the contents of the back basket. Looking at the meat and grain on the stove, the whole family was once again blinded. "I really got the meat back, and there is food. Look, we Qing Miao can make so many good things for our family without going to the ground. Can you make it? Everyone is black heart stuff, and we still dislike our King Miao's eating too much. Mom, no one dislikes the older sister who eats too much. I wish the older sister eat more." Sui Guo said anxiously. "The elder sister is in poor health, of course, she has to eat more. They used to eat more when their father was there." Lin Chihong lowered her head with a guilty conscience. She didn't say that the elder sister ate too much, she just felt that her daughter ate less. Sui Hua said, "Mom, what do I think about the eldest sister, don't you know? If anyone dares to say that the eldest sister is not good, I took it up with an ear scraper." Ding Dihua pursed her mouth subconsciously. Gao Xiaolin looked at her two daughter-in-laws and snorted coldly, "Who is thinking about it? I know it in my heart." So King He didn't want to watch the family war, she also wanted to go back to the room and see how her cooking skills were upgraded. "Mom, it's so late, let's cook and eat." "What? I'll go back to the house and rest today. Hearing that So King He stopped cooking, Gao Xiaolin said anxiously, "What's wrong, are you tired?" "I'll just say, because of these unscrupulous people, you are tired." Both Sui Aguo and Sui Ihua looked at her. The eyes were full of guilt and self-blame. "So King He, it's okay, I just cooked before, I feel boring, take a rest today." Gao Xiaolin feels distressed, "I won't do that. You should take a good rest. I don't agree with you to do this. If you are in poor health, how can you serve the family to eat?" Turning around, she helped the two daughters-in-law, "Don't hurry to cook. I'm still waiting for your sister-in-law to be served. After eating for a few days, I can taste it, and I still want to be served by others." Lin Chihong and Ding Gihua hurriedly brushed the pot and started the fire. Gao Xiaolin went to sort out the meat and sorghum noodles. When So King He left the kitchen, she was still listening to Gao Xiaolin's instructions. "First give Qing Miao a bowl of pork gnocchi. She is really tired today. In order for you to have a bite of meat, she was so broken." Back in the room, she closed the door and lay on the bed and entered the system page with her eyes closed. She has two side tasks, cooking and making clothes. The column of cooking tasks shows in progress, but the word B appears after the task result, which means that she has entered the level assessment stage. The skill point column has also changed: clothing, 0 food, 0 living, 0 row, 0. The cooking skill points are all cleared due to upgrades. And So King He clearly felt that her cooking skills still exist after her cooking. Now let her cook, she can also make a meal proficiently. Therefore, it is normal to reset the data after the upgrade. After reading these, she went to see the rewards in her storage space. As soon as he opened it, So King He saw the image of a big iron pan inside, and the system also came out and introduced, non-stick stainless steel big iron pan. As a military wife who has made a little cooking, how can he lack a bite of iron? What about the pot? I hope the host can use it as much as possible and cook food full of love in an iron pot. Seeing that it was an iron pot, So King He was still a little bit disappointed. She thought that the rewards after the upgrade were some magical items, but she didn't expect it to be a big iron pot. It seemed that there was nothing wrong with it. Well, the wok is the wok. So King He felt that her glass heart was being strengthened again, and she said, "Is this your interstellar product? Is there any magical power? Will it be possible to boil the flavors of mountains and seas in boiled water?" Host, please note that in the initial stage, the products that the host obtains are all products of this era. If the host wants to obtain a higher level product, please continue to work hard to complete the task. Higher level products? So King He felt hot, what else? Please make persistent efforts. After completing the level tasks, the host will receive higher level product rewards. The system prompts that the level assessment standards are as follows: as a level culinary owner, how can you not be a famous dish? The host learns to cook 10 famous dishes and is evaluated by the system. For each qualified dish, the host will gain 1 skill point. After gaining 10 mission skill points, the host's cooking level will automatically upgrade. The host will receive mission rewards. So King Hexen immediately took the cold and refreshed, "Where do I go to learn 10 famous dishes?" In this era, you are not without points. The biggest cook now is probably the master chef in the government cafeteria, holding a large shovel to make a big pot of rice. Kind of. What about famous dishes? You can't eat them anymore, and you still eat famous dishes? Host, please rest assured, this system will provide recipes. Please check the host in the storage space. So King He immediately went to the storage space. Sure enough, there was a recipe book with more than 10 famous dishes. There are almost all famous dishes from all over China. I believe the method. As long as I practice a few more times, it won't work. Problem. However, one thing is very important: what about the ingredients? Hosts, Please note that there are two channels for obtaining ingredients. 1. The host can buy them at the market on their own. 2. They can obtain them from the system through cooking tasks. Well, there are options, and there is nothing wrong with this. The problem is that there are no elections in this era. Apart from cooking to get the ingredients, where else can she go to make these things? So King He shut down the system silently, and the system wanted her to cook again, so she was not deceived. Anyway, she just took out the things now, she had to rest for 2 days. As soon as So King He opened his eyes, he heard Gao Ziolan's knock on the door. King Miao are you asleep? I have dinner. She quickly got up and opened the door, and she watched Gao Ziolan's bowl containing gnocchi and meat strips. Behind Gao Ziolan, several children were looking at them blankly. Gao Ziolan glanced back, and the children ran away. She turned her head and looked at So King He happily. Quickly enter the house and eat noodles. It's been a long time since you had white noodles. It's the white noodles from the last time, it's white. You can try it. So King He took the bowls and chopsticks and turned into the house, and Gao Ziolan followed into the house. So King He put the bowls and chopsticks on the table and said to Gao Ziolan, Mom, does anyone else have food? Yes, the meat slices are boiled. It's delicious. Who has such good things? Gao Ziolan thinks the food is pretty good now. Mom, what I mean is, now that there are people at home, we will let everyone eat a little better, especially when a few children grow up. If they eat too poorly, they won't grow up in the future. So King He felt that even if she didn't have any love for young children, she would have to eat more for a few younger brothers for the sake of her. Gao Ziolan disagrees. Why is it not long? Isn't it good? How many dolls in our village have been thrown out? It's not bad if our family hasn't lost any children. There's just a lot of food in the family, they are all for plain rice, and I can't go to the ground to earn work points. What can I do if I eat so much? If I feed them too much, our family will have to drink northwest wind. Mom, isn't this my father's subsidy? These are his grandchildren, so let's take care of them as much as possible. Don't give more, just a little more than usual, so that the children can eat more than usual. What do you think? After all, I will point them to filial piety to my aunt in the future. The food is too poor and the growth will not be good in the future. Where can I get the strength to work? Makes sense. Gao Ziolan felt that her daughter still had a long-term consideration. Okay, give them more food in the future. Hey, I will tell your dad to send more food to him in the evening. So that this unscrupulous person will not care about us anytime. By the way, there is also a big iron pot. You have to remind your dad to pick him up. I don't know if he will go to the room today. Listening to So King He's back chills. Why did she tell such a lie before? At the lunch table, Gao Ziolan let a few children eat half-dried mash, and gave him an extra piece of meat. Of course, the corresponding thing is that the meat in the adult bowl has been reduced. But the two pairs of parents were still shocked by Gao Ziolan's behavior. They usually give the bowls to the girls themselves, they are scolded by Gao Ziolan. Today, I gave it on my own initiative. Gao Ziolan said with a black face, it's not that Qing Miao is thinking about you little bunnies. Now that there is meat at home, I will let you eat more. You witty-eyed wolves, don't forget your aunt. Several children nodded hurriedly. Auntie let them eat meat these days, I still remember. Brothers Sua Aguo and Sua Ihua were moved again. However, Ding Gihua looked at Lin Shuhong, always feeling a little unsure. Abnormal, too abnormal. On the way to work in the afternoon, Ding Gihua secretly went to Lin Shuhong, sister-in-law, which one do you think this is singing? Don't look at her usually running on Lin Shuhong's sister-in-law in front of her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. At critical moments, she still knows who she is with. One side. Lin Shuhong said nervously, will mom know that I'm going to get into trouble, so she did this deliberately to test us. After speaking, she looked terrified. It's over, will mom fix me? Ding Dihua looked at her hopeless appearance, and her face suddenly became black. This is not something that can make a big deal. With this head, she wants to be alone and daydream. Because of Gao Xiaolan's abnormal behavior, Lin Shihong was always anxious when she went to work in the afternoon. Although she wanted to separate her family and live alone, she only dared to tell her man about this matter, not to her mother-in-law. If her mother-in-law knows, it must be the whole village and the entire production team. Maybe go to her mother's house to make trouble. Thinking of that scene, Lin Shihong shuddered. From top to bottom of her family, they were all honest and friendly people. When she first looked for Sua Aguo, she looked at him because he was honest, just like his family, so she got there. If her mother-in-law goes to her natal house to make trouble, the family will be able to fight it. So when she got off work, she secretly discussed with her man Sua Aguo, patriotic, I said that I have to go alone, you didn't talk to mom. Sua Aguo turned black when she heard that she was still mentioning anything that she had been alone. Why are you still mentioning this? I said you can't be alone. I'm the eldest son. Let's live together. Shihong, when we got married, we said yes, why have you changed again? Lin Shihong said that before we got married, I didn't expect your mother to ruin her daughter-in-law so much. Still thinking of loving her daughter so much, it must be different from other mother-in-laws. Result. After marrying to Lao Su's house, Lin Shihong understood a truth. Marriage can't just think about it. The result of random thinking is that the mother-in-law will tell you that it is daydreaming. Lin Shihong felt a lot of emotion in her heart, and she was so overwhelmed that she couldn't breathe, but she didn't want to say a word to her man. After so many years, she had already noticed that her man's brain was abnormal. In my heart, except for my mother, I am a sister. And a few days ago, she even daydreamed about trying to separate his family. Why can't she think about it so much? It's all right now, it's provoked the mother-in-law. Sua Aguo is still persuading, look at the eldest sister who is still giving meat to the family, now there are a few companies in the team who can eat meat, and they can't eat it anymore. 2 days ago, the daughter-in-law of the old lame family in the east of the village, didn't you just carry it out and bury it? Or secretly went out in the middle of the night to bury it? The digging was deep. Tell me, is this day in our family that no one can dream of? The eldest sister is not absent from work, my mother said. That's a problem in the mother's womb, she feels uncomfortable when she moves. She is just over a decade old and has never seen our father since she was a child. How pitiful! How many years can the eldest sister stay at home at this age? She doesn't like her. What if she eats more? She used to eat so much when you didn't enter the door. We give all the delicious food to the eldest sister. Why can we wait for the daughter-in-law to enter the door and change it? Mother, it's going to be cursed by the old people in the village pointing their noses. Lin Shihong's head was dizzy. After she heard her man say this, she felt that her mind was too bad for her sister-in-law. My sister-in-law used to live like this at home. How could she not get used to it as soon as she walked in? After marrying, I still want to seduce the man to split the family, regardless of the sister-in-law. It's not that the family didn't give her a bite, and the one who ate more and less, didn't starve to death? Her child did not starve to death. Wait, child? Lin Shihong suddenly discovered that something was wrong. Why should he sympathize with my sister-in-law? Her child was still hungry every day, and her mother-in-law was pressed all day long. She wants to separate the family, that is to let the children eat and eat. Looking at Sua Aguo who was still talking about this, Lin Shihong suddenly realized that she was almost taken in by her own man just now. Lin Shihong looked at the sky, feeling a little desperate in her heart. She found that she was living with an abnormal family, and it might become abnormal one day. She thinks that if one day she becomes only the sister-in-law and the mother-in-law in her heart, she will feel dark in front of her eyes. How many people like our eldest sister, or else the leading cotters will not recognize her as a girl. The leading cotters can still be blind? So if you don't like our eldest sister, you will be blind. Sueguo is confident the reason is with his wife. Lin Chihong finally couldn't hold it anymore. Her man usually can't make a fart. When talking about his sister, she can always say 3 days and 3 nights, patriotic and patriotic, let's not talk about it. I made a mistake. No. I'm not separated. I'll just ask if you told my mother that I'm afraid my mother will be angry. Sueguo heard that Lin Chihong was finally persuaded by him, and felt relieved. He smiled and said, I didn't say it, don't worry, I know you are confused for a while, what am I talking about with mom? Lin Chihong. No, it's not me who is confused, it's you. When the couple returned home, Gao Xiaolin had already cooked the food. She would never let her daughter-in-laws do things like cooking unless she didn't want to move. In these days, whoever cooks is in charge. This home, of course, is her best. She would not let anyone but her daughter. Lin Chihong did not dare to rest when she returned home, and went into the kitchen to help Gao Xiaolin serve food. Seeing that there was nothing wrong with Gao Xiaolin's face, she felt at ease. It seems that her mother-in-law really doesn't know. So King He didn't know that because she made her mother Gao Xiaolin treat her granddaughters a little better, she would make her sister-in-law Lin Chihong a false alarm. Because she had just upgraded, she directly gave herself 2 days off. The original owner was someone who didn't even support the broom, so she did a few meals and suddenly didn't do it, no one was surprised. The only thing that makes people a little sad is that she usually puts more meat when she cooks. When Gao Xiaolin tells her 2 daughters-in-law to cook, the amount is controlled. Gao Xiaolin is not worried that her daughter will not be able to eat it, anyway, she can make a small stove for her daughter. And now no one can say no words, don't eat meat if you have the ability. Gao Xiaolin is now consciously dependent, and she is full of confidence and is more vigorous at home. As soon as the family finished eating, they heard the sound of gongs and drums outside, which was a signal for the team to convene a meeting. When May is busy, there is no time to talk nonsense during the day, and everything is left to talk at night. The head of the Sui family is naturally Gao Xiaolin. How could it be possible to miss her in a meeting, so I arranged for 2 daughter-in-laws to stay at home to look after the house, and to take their 2 sons to the meeting together. So King He immediately followed, and also followed. At this time, there was not even a kerosene lamp in the house, and she was flustered at home by herself most of the night. I'm always worried that Comrade Su Dagon is really coming home. And she also wants to see what the conference of this era is going on. Gao Xiaolin originally wanted her daughter to sleep at home, but when she heard that she was about to follow her, she asked her to grab some sweet potatoes and take them with her. When she was bored, she would eat 2 yuan. This is like seeing a movie. When the Sui family arrived, many other families also arrived. Under the night, only vague outlines were seen all around, so everyone recognized each other who was saying hello and yelled hello. Oh, King He has come out. I haven't seen it for many days. Usually, the door doesn't go out and the door doesn't move. I thought who raised the landlord lady. So King He was watching everywhere, and heard a voice with a broken gong. She looked back and saw that she was a small middle-aged woman. So King He squinted his eyes, and from the memory of the original owner in his head, he recognized that this was her second aunt Gao Xiaju. Married to the same production team as Gao Xiaolin, but not in the same village. Gao Xiaju was in Tianjia village. I rarely see each other at ordinary times, and I will only see each other at this conference. Of course, she and Gao Xiaolin have a big conflict, so they have to pinch when they meet each other. Gao Xiaju's pinch point is Gao Xiaolin's baby bump So King He, basically pinching one by one. No, So King He hasn't spoken yet. Gao Xiaolin has blown up her hair. What's wrong? Our Qing Miao is blessed, and 3 older brothers are willing to love her, and some people are just not blessed, and their daughters can only be used to raise brothers. I speaking of the second child, is your daughter-in-law a son or a daughter-in-law, and it's no fault of your daughter-in-law. You have only given birth to 3 daughters to give birth to a son. This is what you learned from you. Gao Xiaju's old face suddenly couldn't hold it anymore. The black sky couldn't see her face clearly, but So King he had already felt her anger. That's right, the reason why her second aunt Gao Xiaju had a conflict with her mother Gao Ziolan was because of the issue of having children. The two were also born guilty. Gao Ziolan was the third daughter of the Gao family, and she was separated from her second child Gao Xiaju by more than a year. The two were married in the same year, and both had children together. Every time Mr. Gao Xiaju had a daughter, Gao Ziolan immediately gave birth to a son, then Gao Xiaju gave birth to another daughter, and Gao Ziolan immediately gave birth to another son. After that, Gao Ziolan disliked her son too much and didn't want to give birth, so she rested. As a result, Gao Xiaju gave birth to a baby son immediately. At that time, before the feudal superstition was broken, Gao Xiaju went to find someone to die, saying that Gao Ziolan was born to suppress her, so the two of them were pregnant with a child, and she would be suppressed to give birth to a son. After Gao Ziolan heard about it, she felt that it was farting, and she couldn't make any shit, so she blamed Mao Kang. But Gao Xiaju believed. So this beam is knotted. So King he tried to alleviate this contradiction, so he comforted Gao Xiaju, second aunt, what about giving birth to children is actually the same, daughter is the mother's intimate little quilted jacket. It can also be passed on to the elderly. You want to start a little bit. Gao Ziolan felt that her daughter was ridiculing Gao Xiaju, so she sneered, "We Qing Miaoer is right, look at how much I treasure our Qing Miaoer. The girl needs to be hurt. My 3 sons love her. You're 3 a girl, you should also make your son a brother. Your daughter-in-law wants to give birth to a girl, and that is your blessing." So King he. Gao Xiaju felt that her heart was stabbed several times by the mother's chest. You black heart mother and daughter, why didn't the next thunder strike you to death? Gao Ziolan said, I have 3 sons in front of me, they can't cut them. Gao Xiaju was so angry that he lost the strength to fight with Gao Ziolan. So King he was worried that she might be out of anger, and pulled Gao Ziolan, Mom, isn't it the meeting? Why haven't we started yet? Gao Ziolan was interrupted and ignored Gao Xiaju. She looked at her daughter lovingly, I have to notify the people from the other 2 villages to come over. The people in our team are not good at this point, they are too scattered. Other village is big, a village is a brigade. It's a lot easier than us. The Yellow River production team is composed of 3 small villages, Sujia village, Tianjia village, and Sunjia village. Because Sujia village has the most people and its geographical location is close to the commune, meetings are usually held here. So King he was relieved to see that she had forgotten to fight. Seeing Gao Xiaju was taken away by 2 girls. She chatted with Gao Ziolan, Mom, what do you think this meeting is about? What else can it be for food? After waiting for a while, people from other villages also rushed over. Seeing that everyone was almost there, the old Captain Guo Chongsheng beat the gongs and drums to signal everyone to be quiet. Then he stood on the mound in the square. The whole person is elevated, so that everyone can look at him. Guo Chongsheng is in his 50s and is not a local. He was originally assigned to this place to settle down after he was discharged from the army. Because he was a soldier, although he was not tall, he looked very energetic and spoke full of energy. Today, however, he looks a little bad in spirit. After watching everyone around, he was silent for a few seconds before speaking with difficulty, this time the food is about to be collected. According to the instructions above, the output of our team this year is definitely not enough. Let's take it this time. I also received 18,000 caddies of grain. Last year, the reported amount was 32,000. This is still the least reported, and it is still not enough. Comrades, the grain we collected this year cannot be distributed. Let everyone today Coming here is also to make everyone mentally prepared. Every family don't watch the harvest and eat with their belly open. This year they can't eat new food, so they tighten their belts. At least until the autumn harvest. Guo Changshen's words were like a bolt from the blue, and it immediately made the whole team noisy. The food at home is about to bottom out, and now the newly harvested ones are not distributed? Still going until the autumn harvest? There are still a few months before the autumn harvest. If this happens until that time, won't you all starve to death? Captain Guo, this is not okay. Our family's food has long been gone and there is nothing to eat. Our family has eaten the bark for several days, and this intestines can't stand it. My mother-in-law and my mother-in-law are all I can't hold on to go. It was so cripple in the east of the village who hurt his leg when he was young, and finally got a daughter-in-law and gave birth to several babies. Now in famine years, his daughter-in-law got swollen because she saved a bite to eat for the children. I'm sick, and I just left a few days ago. Everyone in the village knows about this, but it's just a few sighs. There are not many things like this, but it's not unusual in the past 2 years. Gao Xiaolin whispered to her daughter about Solap's house, and then educates, King Miao I hear you, if you don't eat, you'll have to wait to starve to death. You can eat whatever you have at home. Su's wife just can't bear to eat it. Let it be given to others to get edema, sickness, and death. So King He felt very heavy at this time. The original owner didn't care about external affairs before, so the things that happened in his memory were all told by his family. It was calm and gentle, and he didn't feel much, at most a few sighs. But I really watched Su Jiazi crying and complaining about the tragic situation of the family here, and I couldn't help but feel heavy and unmoved. Guo Chongsheng was also heavy in his heart. These are all his fellow villagers. When he came back from the army, it was the fellow villagers who accepted him, allowed him to take root here, and made him the captain of the brigade. But he, the captain, didn't let the fellow villagers have a good life. However, he was also helpless. This is the meaning of the commune. This year, the amount of commune newspapers was large, and it became so much when it was apportioned. Fellow folks, there will always be difficulties. Before so many storms have come, now the days are too peaceful, let's work hard to survive this famine year, and our good days are coming. The autumn harvest will begin soon, and we will strive to distribute the grain during the autumn harvest. The commune has also promised that if the grain is confiscated in the autumn harvest, it will apply for relief grain. Everyone will let it go. Guo Chongsheng was almost crying. The others didn't say a word, they said everything was the same anyway. They disagree, can the grain collection team still not come to collect grain? When the meeting ended, everyone was in a bad mood. Even Gao Xiaolin sighed, so she discussed with her 2 sons on the way, and the family will have a meal in the future. This is still a few months away from the autumn harvest. With so many mouths in the family, there is definitely not enough food. And after today's meeting, I'm afraid there is not much bark left. Don't even think about eating wild vegetables at home in the future. King Miao can't be less, she is not healthy, and can't be hungry. I can eat 1 bite less. Gao Xiaolin said. The 2 sons naturally won't let her eat 1 bite less, Sua Aguo said, Mom, look at what you said, I can't let you eat 1 bite less if I take 1 bite less. The eldest sister definitely has a lot of rations. How to eat too? Gao Xiaolin nodded in satisfaction. So King He was silent. She felt that it was too sinful that she was lazy in this era. She cooks, she cooks. Back at home, Gao Xiaolin gave the order to eat 1 meal the next day. Just have a Chinese meal. Others know the situation and have no opinion. It's just that Lin Chuhong looked at her children and felt bitter in her heart. Finally, the mother-in-law started to change a little bit and let the children eat more. Now it's going to be what it used to be. Why is her child struggling? Gao Xiaolin ignored the other people's thoughts, went back to the room and made a wish to the big urn, Dagon, you also heard it, now it's so difficult, so you can send some more food back. Otherwise, we will starve to death. You have no conscience, don't just watch. By the way, there is also the big iron pot at home. You can also take it up by the way. The clay pot is waste wood. You can't bear to watch me all day long to pick it up. Burning firewood will be exhausting, don't you bear it. In the other room, So King He lay on the bed and began to check his storage space. In the space, apart from the small amount of food and meat left for the previous task, there is only a big iron pot. It seems that I will get more stuff next time. At least you can't let the family really only eat one meal. At that time, even if you don't die from starvation, you will get edema. The next day, So King He gritted his teeth and got up in the morning bed and got up to cook for the family. That's right, she decided that starting from today, 3 meals a day at home will be included. She has to do it without the system's temptation. She didn't want to starve to death, nor did she want to eat the food brought back by her brothers, so that her brothers and nephews would starve to death. The most important thing is that when others can't get food anyway, she can get food through work. She feels that if she doesn't work hard to get food because of her laziness, she herself despises her 3 views. Isn't it just cooking? She also has a key to the kitchen. Gao Xiaolin put it on her side and made her make it by herself when she was hungry and want to eat. So King He went directly to open the door of the kitchen, and there was still some corn cob powder left in the kitchen. She made a bowl directly, boiled it in a pot, and then put the condiments on it. Although there are no condiments, but with the skill points given to her by the system, she has become more and more accurate in her sense of cooking. She can have this awareness when and how much to put. So even this kind of pure coarse grains can barely be called edible. The family members were in a bad mood because of the meeting last night, and they were a little weak when they got up in the morning. After seeing the smoke in the kitchen, they all ran away in surprise, for fear of something wrong in the kitchen. After seeing So King He in the kitchen cooking with a big spoon, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that the older sister was cooking. Yes, the eldest sister is going to eat in the morning. Brother, sister-in-law, you can go to work after dinner. So King He shouted. Hearing So King He's words, the others were shocked. So Aguo squatted and said, how about this, you can eat by yourself, we are not hungry. The eldest sister eats it alone, but she can eat a few more meals. The eldest sister can't eat a bite after the few of them eat. Ding Gihua's mouth moved, but she didn't speak. Lin Chihong looked at the children who were sweeping the floor with some hesitation on her face. Let's eat, I made a family. I know that there is not enough food at home. I am going to find a chance to go to the county town with my mother to see if we can borrow food. Our family will eat 2 meals first, and it's okay if we don't eat that meal in the evening. I have to eat in the morning, or how can I work hard in the morning? So Aguo asked suspiciously, Big sister, can you borrow it? It's broken everywhere now. So Ihua disagreed, Big sister, why can't I let you ask someone? It's not bad if someone can give us meat. If you go again, people won't recognize you as a damsel, that's a thank you. He is not as honest as his brother. The senior cotters are smart people. If you look at their family's troubles so much, you will definitely dislike the older sister. In this situation at home, it is too difficult for the eldest sister to find someone from the city. If the senior cotter can be a matchmaker for the elder sister in the future, the elder sister can go to the city to enjoy the blessing. Brother, it's okay, I'll try it later. So King He said. What is Duza doing here, waiting for the pie in the sky? Gao Xiaolin combed her head and went out, watching her son and daughter-in-law standing in front of the kitchen, she was suddenly upset. Hearing Gao Xiaolin's voice, So King He hurriedly went to the kitchen door, Mom, I'm cooking, let my brother and them eat something before they go to work. Just some corn paste. Gao Xiaolin was still stern, but when she saw So King He, Her face was like a spring breeze, and her voice was gentle. Why do you get up so early to cook? How hard it is. Just tell Mom what you want to eat, Mom. I'll make them for you. What can I give them? Now every household has a break. It's not bad that we still have a stutter. There are so many of them, and one bite is not a problem. It's better to save a good lunch at noon. So King He. There are so many false things about her mother. Mom, I've done everything. Let the brothers eat them before they go. Eat 2 bites per person, and work vigorously in the morning. What do you need to do with so much energy, and you can't give more work points? Gao Xiaolin glanced at her 2 sons and daughter-in-law, and saw that they were still honest, so she said sternly, forget it, Qing Miao did it all. Just take a bite. It's hard for your sisters to think of you brothers and sisters so much. Get up early in the morning to make food for you. She hasn't even eaten a bite herself. Those of you who have no conscience still can't tolerate her. Are you still touching your conscience? Sui Aguo and Sui Ihua really touched their hearts, and then honestly said, Mom, it's still there. We all remember the elder sister's goodwill in our hearts. Lin Chuhong and Ding Gihua. After Gao Xiaolin spoke, the family finally sat down and had breakfast together. The children still have a small share, and one person can eat 2 or 3 bites to pad their stomachs. In order to be full, Dia added boiled water to the bowls for herself and other siblings and stirred them into a clear soup. Eat with relish. Lin Chuhong was about to give her children to eat. Gao Xiaolin patted the table directly. Didn't you hear what Qing Miao said? Giving you food will give you strength to work. If you give them food, can you still have strength? If you don't eat it, give it to the patriots. What can you do for the girl? It's not bad if you don't starve to death, and you still have to eat. If it weren't for King Miao no one could eat a bite this morning. Lin Chuhong hurriedly pulled into her mouth, worrying that she would provoke her mother-in-law, and she won't be able to eat anything next time. So King He drank this slurp without taste. She didn't have much in the bowl, because Gao Xiaolin said that she would start a small stove for her. After eating quickly, Sui Aguo and Sui Ihua took their daughter-in-law to go to work. Gao Xiaolin told her granddaughters to clean up the dishes. Go to the room to get some flour and lay eggs and gnocchi for your daughter. So King He hid in the room to check her grain. After seeing 3 caddies of rice, she was relieved. After the upgrade, she no longer needs to be praised by others, but can also be rewarded. In the future, as long as she cooks, she will be rewarded. Regardless of whether she chooses coarse grains or fine grains, she always gives 3 kilograms of meals for the family. Before, she thought that it would be more convenient to get coarse grains without tossing. Now she has other ideas. If she takes out the fine grains, she can still take the fine grains and go outside to exchange more coarse grains. In this way, the family can not only eat a little bit, but also find the opportunity to make a fine meal. She plans to take out the rice uniformly after working for a few days in a row. This can also ease the situation at home. There is also that big iron pot, she is also ready to take it out. The big clay pot at home is too much firewood. Not only is food scarce these days, firewood is also a treasure. Save if you can. So King He was ready to pay attention, and Gao Xiaolin also entered the house with the bowl and chopsticks. Because So King He was able to contribute to this family now, when So King He had a small stove, he felt more at ease. Mom, when things get better in the future, I will also give Dia and the others a good meal. Da Bao and Bao are not tall, Dia is 10 years old, and she looks like she is 6 or 7 years old. Gao Xiaolin flatly said, if there is no bad food at home, can I still give them a bite? Isn't this something that is not eaten at home? I still want to tell you, don't make breakfast for the family in the morning, you have a meeting yesterday. I have also heard that we have to survive until the autumn harvest, and there are still several months. King Miao Mom doesn't want you to eat bark like others. Mom feels distressed. She choked up as she said, the bark cuts the intestines, so it hurts. It doesn't matter if you eat it, and you get edema. Why did Su Jiao's daughter-in-law want to leave? It's not that she didn't eat and gave all the food to the child. Yet, she starved to death by herself, and the family is now more difficult. Mom doesn't want you to suffer the pain. Those girls take a bite less and are not hungry, so it's good to be alive. If you are soft-hearted, you are the one who starved to death. If you are gone, Mom will not live. This mother is acting again. So King He took her mother's hand. I'm not saying that we're going to have a good life. My dad has delivered food and meat several times. I don't think my dad will ignore us. My dad is the cotter below. It's definitely not a problem to feed our family. Gao Xiaolin immediately turned red when she heard her man. No, your dad is a capable person when he is here, and he can often bring back some game, or else your brother and the others can grow that taller. Our young crops are a hard life. Yes, I couldn't eat your dad's meal. Fortunately, your dad has a conscience and knows to come back to compensate you. So King He looked at her red face and felt that she saw something on Gao Xiaolin's face that could be called a little woman. She shivered and coughed, Mom, let's have confidence in my dad. Before. I don't care about family affairs, as long as my mother hurts me. But when I went to a meeting yesterday, I was scared when I heard the tragedy. I don't have a dad anymore, and I don't want to watch my family go. Starving to death makes me scared and cannot sleep at night. She looks scared. Gao Xiaolin hugged her distressedly. King Miaoyar is not afraid, Mom is here. Those who are not hungry, our family is strong and can earn work points. Our family has more food than others. I must not die from starvation. Those girl movies and you, my eldest nephew, can't die from starvation. I haven't heard of anyone who can starve to death with something in his stomach every day. People who starve to death are all interrupted for several days. Don't be afraid, Mom looks at you like this, Mom feels distressed. So King He nodded moved, and then said, Mom, I will cook 2 meals a day from now on at our house. If my dad doesn't give us food in a few days, we will change it to 1 meal. I am busy with farming these days, but my sister-in-law they go to work a little bit thinly. The girl said so. Gao Xiaolin nodded her head without agreeing. At lunchtime, Gao Xiaolin and her sons announced their decision to take 2 meals a day for a few days. Then he brainwashed his sons. It's not that Qing Miao feels sorry for you, and is preparing to pull down and ask other leaders to ask for food to supplement you. Are you brothers in the wrong heart? The 2 brothers nodded straight. Lose heart, really lost heart. Lin Shihong and Ding Gihua also lowered their heads. At work in the afternoon, Su Aihua lit her daughter-in-law. If anyone says my eldest sister is not good, I'll fight hard. Our eldest sister is the best. She is only more than 10 years old, even older than her. At the age of 5 or 6, she helped us share so many things. Whoever says she is not good has no conscience. Ding Gihua hurriedly coaxed her own man. Yes, yes, no one said that the older sister is not good. Didn't I keep saying that the older sister is okay? Su Aihua glanced at her. I can't think about the eldest sister's badness in my heart. If you think about it, you will lose your heart. Yes, I don't want to. I just think about the elder sister. Ding Gihua breathed a sigh of relief. Her man is foolish when he should be smart, and smart when he is foolish. She used to think that the older sister was not good, isn't that not convinced in her heart? The whole commune didn't see any sister-in-law who didn't work and could still open a small stove every day. Even the grandson she gave birth to Lao Su's family didn't enjoy this kind of treatment. Can you feel comfortable? Now naturally it's another story. Who will let the elder sister have a good life, can meet the nobles. Speaking of it, it's really different from other people's lives. They are all reborn as women, so how come their life is so bad? Ding Gihua sighed with entanglement. At home, so King He didn't sleep in either. In this environment at home, it's better to sit in a daze at the door when you fall asleep. A few small ones are doing housework, sweeping the floor, wiping the table, washing clothes. So King He is ready to help with his few morals left. Was tremblingly rejected by the children. The milk said, people who don't work have no food to eat. If auntie does the work, they won't be able to eat. So King He, taking advantage of Gao Ziolan's absence, so King He stuffed them with a piece of dried sweet potatoes. You have worked hard, this is a reward for you. The children didn't dare to eat at first, so King He said, quickly eat, aunt, this is for you. I won't tell you milk. The children gobbled it up and stuffed them into their mouths. The youngest second treasure couldn't bite, so King He was going to find the boiling water to soak it, but Daya directly chewed it up for him to eat. So King He swallowed. Can this be done? But so King He also noticed that among these children, the two boys, Dabeo and Erbeo, were heartless. Instead, a few girls need to be sensible. The big Ya is more calm, the second Ya is more lively, and the third Ya is more clever. So King He felt that these children were just cute and sensible little angels compared to the bear children in the future. After they finished eating, so King He did ideological work for them. In fact, your milk is for your own good. Hard work is a person's greatest wealth. Don't be lazy. Laziness is a disease and it's hard to cure. She was lazy for 20 years and cured both of her lives. Oh no! Had it not been for a famine year, she would have been able to lie down for another 20 years. Daya moved her lips and dared not speak. Of course, the small eyes made so King He see the suspicion in her eyes. Arya whispered, Auntie, why don't you work? Are you sick? So King He, yes, I'm sick. I'm sick in the mother's womb. I can't cure it, and I feel uncomfortable when I move. Both Daya and Arya opened their mouths, and Sanya also learned to open their mouths. Daya said, but my aunt is sick and has food to eat. So King He said earnestly, although auntie is ill, she is kind and helpful. That's why we have meat in our family. So you must do more good deeds and be a blessed child. So King He feels that she has too little morality, but when facing children, she still has to establish correct values for them as much as possible. The children seem to understand a little bit. It's not that she doesn't work, she is sick. But my heart is good, so I'm blessed. Seeing how ignorant a few children looked, so King He felt very comforted. Sure enough, sugar-coated shells have been the most useful since ancient times. Very well, in the future, she will finally not be the image of a vicious aunt. She doesn't want to be hostile after she contributes to the family. In the next few days, so King He cooked 2 meals a day in a row. 30 caddies of rice have been deposited one after another. When Gao Ziolan began to lose confidence in her Mansu Dagon and wanted to restore the daily meal again, so King He asked the system to send 10 caddies of rice to Gao Ziolan's room. There is also a big iron pot. Gao Ziolan got up before dawn in the morning, and was planning to discuss it with her daughter, and she would only cook 1 meal in the future. As a result, I saw the extra iron pan in my room and the rice in the iron pan. Looking at the white rice, Gao Ziolan immediately burst into tears with excitement. Dagon, I knew you were reliable.